Okay, we are in YouTube now. Okay. It's our YouTube channel. Mhm. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night for everyone. Here we are in our third International Congress of Social Work. Really, we are very happy to have Joaquin Mumba as our guest today. I will have a little opening words. Welcome to the representative authorities of social work officials, colleagues, CEOs, and directors of company and social organizations will accompany us through the day with special attention to Joaquin Mumba, who is president of the International Federation of Social Workers, who thus graces our Congress. Without forgetting to mention our colleagues today who represent organizations and social entities in their countries, and for which we are very grateful for their presence and commitment on this occasion. Mr. Habib Rahman, Mary Angeline, Ronald, Knell, and Anish Kier. Thank you all for participating with your experience on this third International Congress of Social Work, the future of social welfare, mental health, and human talent of organizations in the digital age. During the next 4 days, we will be learning, discussing, and debating about the future of social welfare, mental health, and human talent of organization. A current topic, since we live in a time in which technology involves a change of mentality, of a speed of process, of development of our career in a digital framework, and thinking about the future of our professional career in a where we are going, how we are, what we can update in our educational curricula of social work in our countries. In that context, we have a great path to have a future that meets the needs of the population in today's world. Social workers empower people and each one in their organization and our company seeks the well-being of people. That is why in the SDGs, a social worker will always be an important axis in the organizations for the fulfillment of the SDGs. This is our third virtual congress and the first in-person one that we proudly present here, and we want to give this free training space to many social workers from Peru, Latin America, and the world who do not have the economy to be able to pay the high prices of training that these days they will be able to access for free online through our YouTube channel. Peru is a friendly country with a lot of historical tradition and rich culture, and this time it opens the doors to friends and colleagues who from today gather online and in person for the rest of the 4 days that await us with outstanding professional with a high academic level, where we will participate in online and in-person conference and participatory dynamics. Many thanks to everyone who participate in this unforgettable experience. Okay, thank you so much. Today here we have Mr. President Joaquin Mumba. He is our president of the International Federation of Social Organizations. I'm sorry for my English. I will speak a little about Joaquin to know you. He is the IFSW Global President and Chief Executive Officer of the Social Workers Association of Zambia. He has close to 20 years of experience working in diverse fields of social work practice with international nonprofit advocacy and development organizations. His interest over the years has been in children's rights, social accountability through local level advocacy, and HIV and AIDS community-led prevention initiatives. He has also spent part of his professional career in supporting the government of the Republic of Zambia, strengthening the social welfare workforce for improved child protection outcome and social welfare in advisor. We are very happy, and it is an honor to have you, Joaquin, as one of our speakers at our Congress, and you are the first one who inaugurated this event. Thank you so much for your presence here.
All right, thank you so much, Carito, for inviting me and for having me on this platform, just basically to share my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Now we like to see your presentation for this occasion, and everyone could see.
Okay, so just give me a little bit of time. I need to find it. Got to find my presentation. Just hold on. Here we go. So are you able to see it from there?
Yes, yes.
Ah, good. So
I will show all.
Just hold. Here we go.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So as I've been introduced, I'm the current president of the International Federation of Social Workers. And so I'm sitting here in Zambia, in the capital city of Lusaka. And I'm sitting at the Social Workers Association of Zambia. That's our office. Yeah, and I'm really happy to share with you, and I'll be talking about the International Federation of Social Workers, and then of course talk a little bit about the future of social work from my point of view and the way I look at things. So I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to share my thoughts. So in terms of my presentation, of course, I'll have the introduction, and of course, talking about the International Federation of Social Workers. And then the second will be looking basically more about IFSW. And then I'll talk about the role of IFSW in shaping the future of social work. And of course, then talk about some of the key challenges. Of course, there are many challenges, so I'm just picking up some of what I see as the key challenges facing the profession. And then, of course, talk about emerging trends and innovations in social work. Again, I may not be exhaustive, but from my standpoint, I'll speak to some of those I feel emerging trends and innovations. And then I'll also talk about IFSW's vision for the future. And then, of course, I'll end with a call to action in terms of what can we do together. So in terms of the introduction, I just want to say that the International Federation of Social Workers, which I know a number of you are already aware about, is a global organization that represents and unites social workers across different countries. Okay, and the federation is actually made up of national associations. And so in 1928, that basically is a year which gives the historical background of the federation. So from 1928, you would note that when we clock, we'll be clocking 100 years of existence as a federation. But of course, officially, in terms of when the federation was established, was 1956. But it has its roots from 1928, and that's why we'll be celebrating, a centenary in 2028. And just to indicate that the International Federation of Social Workers is divided in 5 regions. So we have the Africa region, of course, where I sit. So we're talking about the whole continent of Africa that makes the IFSW Africa. And then we have IFSW Asia Pacific. So it's basically Asia and the Pacific region. And then we have IFSW Europe, then IFSW Latin America and the Caribbean. That's where, of course, Peru is part of, and a number of countries in the Latin American region. Then we have IFSW North America, which, of course, we basically talking about 2 countries here, the United States of America and Canada. So those they form IFSW North American region. So I just want to mention also that each region is led by the regional president and regional vice president, and these 2 are elected by regional members. So for instance, in Africa, the members within the Africa region elect their leadership at the general meeting. And so I just want to also highlight that as at April 2024, the number of members to the Federation grew from what it was to 152. And of course, we are talking about new members that joined when we met in Panama. So the 2 new members that joined the Federation were Taiwan and Cambodia. And then, of course, IFSW members come from different countries, representing hundreds of thousands of social workers worldwide. So, the Federation has the global image because of its representation. It represents, currently about 152 countries. In terms of the number of social workers, we are talking about, hundreds of thousands of social workers who belong to these national associations. So each member organization is typically a national association, as I indicated, of social workers in respective countries, making IFSW one of the largest global, networks of social work professionals. Okay, and so the mission for the Federation is, of course, to support social workers worldwide, and also to advocate for the rights of social workers, human rights, as well as professional standards, of the profession. And of course, talking about core values, we, as IFSW, are committed to ensuring the dignity, respect of also social justice, as well as the empowerment of the peoples that we serve. So in terms of how the Federation is structured, of course, I'm not going in details, but I'm just giving you just an overview. The way the Federation is structured is that we have the General Assembly, and the General Assembly is made up of, members in good standing. So all the members that are part of the IFSW, they form the General Assembly. And of course, the General Assembly, I should mention that they meet every other 2 years. And usually this is planned around the global conference. And so below the General Assembly, of course, we have the executive committee, or the board, if you like. And so the executive committee is basically a collection of, regional presidents, the global president, and the global treasurer, who are basically elected, officials. And we also have the Secretary General, who is not a member of the executive, but is an ex-official on the executive. And so the Secretary General, who is an employee of the Federation, runs the Secretariat for IFSW, which is actually the headquarters is in Switzerland, in Ramforden. And so the Secretariat has staff there. And so, of course, not a big establishment, but we have, staff at a Secretariat. And then other than that, we have volunteers that work as commissioners on IFSW. So we have a couple of commissions. So we have the Education Commission, we have the Ethics Commission, we have what is now the post Human Rights Commission, we have the Indigenous Commission and the United Nations Commission. So each commission is led by a global commissioner, and the global commissioner oversees the operations of the commission, and they have they meet with regional representatives on each commission coming from different regions. And so we could, of course, if we had time, talk in detail in terms of the works of the different commissions. And then as part of the global executive, we have a small group which we call a steering group. And so a steering group is led by the president, the global president, and the vice president or the global vice president, who is actually elected amongst members of the executive, as well as the treasurer and the secretary general as an ex-official. So this is a steering group, and the steering group is there for purposes of urgent decisions that have to do with the day-to-day running of the federation to support the secretary general. Sometimes there could be decisions that require to be made urgently. So instead of waiting for the executive to meet or convene, the steering group easily convenes and makes certain decisions, of course, with the blessings of the executive. And so in terms of, more about the Federation, as again, just to add that IFSW provides a global voice for the profession, and also that IFSW has a special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the UN, as well as the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. In addition, I should mention that IFSW collaborates with a number of other UN agencies like the World Health Organization, UNHCR, UNRIS, that's the research arm of the UN, and also that we collaborate with our traditional tripartite partners. And these are the International Association of International Association of Schools of Social Work and the International Council on Social Warfare. And you will see that most times when we have global conferences, we are always with our partners, the two partners. But going beyond this partnership, we're also looking at creating and setting up different partnerships, with different organizations. And in terms of the role of IFSW in shaping the future of social work, I think, of course, IFSW traditionally has been, looking at, setting up partnerships, and also been in the business of action, and also in terms doing policies, as well as advocacy. So these have been the core, activities, if you like, of the federation. So in terms of partnerships, you will note, for those of you that attended the People's Summit in 2022, you will note that IFSW brought together, a number of partners that, were part and parcel of, the People's, the Global People's Summit. And so in terms of partnerships, of course, as a federation, we proactively building internal as well as external partnerships with people who use social work services and their wider communities to ensure that social services recognize people's inherent strengths and build on them to meet individual, family, and community aspirations. So building partnerships to work for global solidarity, also partnerships with other professionals and of course within the Federation. So those that you see down there are some of the partners that we've established over time. And you also note that in our efforts to shape social work or the future of social work, as a federation, we also involved in setting global standards. So we work in collaboration with the International Association of Schools of Social Work through our Education Commission to establish or set up the global standards for education in social work. And so you would, when you go to our website, you will come across, that page, and also many other pages that speak to the global standards for education in social work. And on top of that, also that as a federation, we are responsible for developing ethical statements and policies that enhance best social work practice. And so, again, this is just an example of the other area that, the federation is engaged in. And of course, in developing ethical statements, we work through our Ethics Commission. And of course, the Ethics Commission collaborates with our other, tripartite, partners, and also internally with some of our key volunteers within the federation. And so, again, you will note that during COVID, there were a lot of lessons that we learned in terms of what social workers can do, what social workers did. And of course, we had a number of national associations and social workers across the globe engaging through webinars and sharing their experiences, and talking about their experiences with COVID, intervening at that level. And so as a result of that, there was a book that was developed, produced, To the Top of the Cliff. And this is basically, collects all the lessons, all the, the sharings that social workers were able to share, during COVID. And I think this helps also going forward in shaping, the future of social work. We need to invest in, documenting our practice stories, talking about them, telling our stories, and sharing them widely, so that we can do the cross learning across the globe. And you also note that through IFSW, we also do a lot of policy influence as well as advocacy. And so IFSW collaborates with international bodies such as the UN, as I've already alluded to, advocating for policy changes on issues such as child protection, mental health, poverty, and many other issues, as well as advocating for professional social work values, standards, ethics, and the like. And all these we do sometimes riding on World Social Work Day as a platform. And so you would see that these are the examples of the World Social Work Day posters. So depending on a particular theme of World Social Work Day that particular year, different members across the globe, social workers across the globe, they join hands to advocate or to talk about, highlight one of the issues that is key to the profession. And so those are some of the issues that we also do to influence policy, as well as to do advocacy. And there is also an aspect of support to social workers by providing resources. The Federation will also provide ethical guidance, also support networks for social workers facing challenges in diverse settings. So as a federation, we do, provide that kind of support. And, one of the key examples, of course, is the Global Social Statement on Ethical Principles. That is a form of support that goes to social workers. I've already also highlighted about, the People's Summit, the Global People's Summit, which of course you saw for those of you that participated, a collection of different partners that came on board. And of course, what was realized is something that I always link to one of the African proverbs, which says, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, you walk together. So we came together as a people, we came together as, global organizations under the flagship of the Global People's Summit. And of course, out of that, we came out with the People's Charter, which is basically, providing guidance in terms of the different ways that we should be working. And of course, there are concepts there of co-building, co-creating, working together with local, communities to bring about or to deal with, local problems or to arrive at local solutions which are more sustainable. So all that is, of course, inspired by the Global People's Summit. And so you could check our website, also look up for the People's Charter and get to understand the details that in the global, in the People's Charter. And again, in terms of looking forward, we're looking at how do we, shape, social work going in the future. I think what is also key at a global level, at national level, and even at community level is building partnerships. Building partnerships is very critical, and also partnerships and relationships. And so we need also to bear in mind that relationships are essential to social work. So even as we work at community level or at different levels, we need to understand that as social workers, we need to invest in building relationships and partnerships, as well as sustaining the relationships and partnerships that we build. And in so doing, we become effective as social workers. Again, we are in the business now that we're looking at what can we learn, from different different parts of the world. And so we're talking about harnessing indigenous wisdom in transforming the profession. So you agree with me that sometime in 2021, as a global profession, we learned something from Africa called Ubuntu. I am because we are. And of course, we different philosophical groundings that we're able to learn from this concept. And this, we believe, has enriched our profession. So we want to continue on this trajectory to learn and continuously learn from indigenous wisdom. Again, another example is where we're learning also from colleagues from Latin America. And that's the reason why we came about with the theme for World Social Work Day, Buen Vivir, Shared Future for Transformative Change. Again, this is the learning that we feel that is going to transform our profession going forward. And we want to keep on learning. And actually, the Federation has realized that we can only grow if we are open-minded and if we have, we have the hunger of wanting to learn from our practice experience and wanting to learn from other social workers, practicing different practice settings. So this is basically a journey that we've want to invest into in order to shape the future of social work. And of course, all this may sound rosy, but of course, there are a number of challenges that, of course, we are already experiencing as a profession, and also a number of challenges that, are before us. as a profession that we, already looking at. So one of the challenges that we are faced with as a profession is global inequality and poverty. And so, of course, there is increasing economic disparities and their impacts on vulnerable communities that we work with as, as social workers. The other one is that of climate change and environmental justice. So addressing the social implications of climate crisis, including displacement, resource scarcity, and community resilience should be the focus of social work and going forward. And all these challenges, of course, will make a huge contribution in shaping the future of social work going forward. And we also talk about digitalization and technology. So the impact of digital tools in service delivery, data management, and how social workers can leverage these for better outcomes while navigating ethical implications are very key. Of course, we look at them as challenges, but of course, for me, I look at them as some of the elements that will be very critical in shaping the future of social work. And of course, we also talk about mental health. So, of course, rising rates of mental health challenges globally, with social workers on the front lines in providing support and advocating for accessible mental health care. So again, this is another, critical challenge that will make a huge contribution, or is making a huge contribution in shaping, the future of social work. And the other issues we talk about high caseloads, burnout, and all these are issues that, of course, are taking a toll on the social workers. And again, we need to start learning on how we manage burnout as social workers. Self-care is key, and we need to continuously talk to our practitioners about self-care. How do we look after ourselves? How do we avoid burnouts? And how do we manage burnout? So although these are challenges that we got to, continuously look at, and of course, will be very critical in shaping the future of social work. And then, of course, ethical dilemmas and policy constraints. This reminds me of the time of, COVID-19, where, of course, in most countries, just when, COVID came or COVID happened, there were a number of restrictions. Social workers were told, together with the general population, to work from home. But we know, you and I know, that social workers, should be found where the rubber hits the road. Social workers should be where the community members are, should be where the families are. But when you are told as a social worker to stay home, how then are you going to work with the community? With your clients. So that, of course, presented ethical dilemmas, especially this side of the world where some of us are found, where we don't. When we talk about technology or digital tools are scarce to find. And so you find that this presented itself with so many, challenges. And so these are some of the things that we should be looking out to, and seeing how then do we navigate, through things like that as social workers. How do we manage ethical dilemmas, and how do we also face, operate in the face of policy constraints? So all these are some of the key critical issues, I bet, that will shape the future of social work. And of course, this presentation, I think, will be shared with everyone. And I'll just run through some of the challenges: workforce diversity and cultural competence, limited funding and resources, especially in the third world. We find this, challenge where, social workers are not well resourced to effectively, meet the needs of the users of social work services. Okay, and also there is this elephant in the house, or elephant in the room, if you like, the stigma and public misunderstanding, about the profession. So a lot of misconceptions about social work and what social workers can do, especially in the third world. You find this as a very, very daunting problem, and as a result, you find that the social work sector or the social service sector is underfunded because of all these misconceptions about it. So you see that again, continuously we need to be looking at this, and of course this will have a significant effect on the future of social work. Then complex client needs again is one other aspects that we need to look at. I would give an example. In my country, it was rare to talk about issues of homelessness because of the concept of Ubuntu. The family or the community will take care of those that are threatened by homelessness. But currently, I think because of economic challenges and stuff like that, even at household level, we are seeing more and more people on the streets. We are seeing more and more people, abusing, drugs. And we're seeing more and more people, suffering from trauma. And so these are issues now that we are, facing with. We are faced with as social workers. And I know that in other places this is not a new problem, but of course in many African countries this is increasingly becoming a new phenomenon, and that social workers should embrace themselves to face these complex client needs. So in terms of emerging trends and innovations in social work, of course, our colleagues, educators. Of course, I'm also the educator. We're now talking about trauma-informed care, and I think there is need to invest, so much in this. There is a growing recognition of trauma and its impact across generations, with a shift towards trauma-informed practices in social work. So I think these are innovations that are coming up and are critical to shaping the profession, the future of the profession. And also we talk about community-led initiatives, and this is actually something that emanates from one of the methods of social and community development, where we're talking about all development initiatives in communities should involve the people that are affected, should involve community members, or should be community led by the people affected. As social workers, we only need to be there as facilitators. So the rise of community-centered solutions, so looking out for community solutions, or local solutions for local problems, is becoming key, and also ensuring that community members are empowered to take active roles in creating sustainable change. The change they need to improve their lives is very critical. And so here we're talking more now about the concept of co-building, co-creating, facilitating development, facilitating, restoration in communities. And this is becoming key. And for me, it's a great innovation going forward. Of course, now we talk about technology again, much as it is coming with its own disadvantages, but it has quite some advantages too. So as social workers, we got to ride on that. And in many places now, when we're talking about digital case management, where we digitalize all the processes in terms of, case identification, assessment, issues of case planning, referrals, and all that is digitalized. And this is very critical. And so we got to, rise to the occasion as social workers and, ride on some of, these innovations that are coming forth. And then, of course, social work in non-traditional settings, social workers expanding into corporate settings, environmental advocacy, tech industries to influence policies and support well-being. So we got to strategically place ourselves in, the non-traditional settings so that we can influence policy there. Again, those are some of the areas that we got to be looking at going forward. So in terms of what IFSW's vision for the future, and of course, I speak as the president of the Federation, and also I'm speaking on my own behalf in terms of what I envision for the future, for the profession. So number one is that of the promotion of social justice and equity. So continuing the fight against systemic injustices and promoting inclusivity in all aspects of social work. And of course, that speaks even into some of the advocacy work that we've been doing as a federation, challenging discrimination, challenging social injustice, and of course, through public statements that we've been issuing and that will continue to issue on most or a number of issues of concern. Then strengthening international collaborations. Again, we want to, ensure that we, foster partnerships across borders, partnerships, at a global level, partnerships even at local level, and also looking at different, issues that are affecting, humans, issues like human trafficking, refugee crisis, and all those different things. So we got to find ourselves there working in partnership with other organizations. But again, it's also important for us to invest in, fostering partnerships with community, with local people or community members, the people that are affected by the issues that we're trying to highlight. And then, of course, developing leadership in social work. We're looking at continuity, and it's important and imperative for us to invest in leadership programs to empower the next generation of social workers to lead with passion, innovation, and resilience. And one of the examples actually that we are encouraging our member associations is to invest in students association or social work students associations in training institutions. And so because those, effectively become, the leaders of tomorrow for the profession. So we got to invest and we need to mold them to bring them up to speed in terms of how do they take over when we are not there. So this is very important and we need to invest in that. Okay. And so we also going to continue to look at how do we tap into indigenous knowledge. Remember, we talked about the learning that we've had from Ubuntu. We've learned also from Brain VV. So we want to continuously, tap into indigenous knowledge and ensure that we enrich our profession. And so we believe that learning by doing and telling our practice stories through documentation is critical. And this is really going to be very critical in shaping the future of the profession. And so this looks like my last slide, also talking about, or second last, promoting, of course, I think I'm just repeating myself here. I think it's the same slide. Okay, so the last one now is that I just want to call upon the audience here to ask questions if there are any questions, and also probably to share the ideas that may have on the subject of shaping the future of the profession, and also to engage in discussions or in a discussion how everyone here present envisions contributing to the future of social work. And then also another call I'm making is, a call upon all of us present here on this platform or listening in to get involved with the International Federation of Social Workers, whether through advocacy or joining a local association in your country of origin, or participating in international dialogues. IFSW normally organizes regional and global conferences. So we call upon you to participate in all these international dialogues to enrich the profession. We want to learn from you. We want to learn from social workers on the ground. We want to learn from social workers at the front line. We want to tap into practice experience and practice wisdom so that we enrich and grow our profession. So I just want to thank you for listening, and I hope I was not boring and that you picked one or two things from the issues that I raised. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. Really was a very rich session that we enriched, with all the International Federation is doing for social workers and how the dialogue, contributes to empower our career, our profession. And as anyone who would like to ask any questions, you could write on chat, maybe, or maybe Habibur, if you like to do a question. Hello.
Hi, Bib.
Hello, Prof. My friend Joseph Mumba, our Honorable President of IFSW Global. It's my immense pleasure today to see you in this screen. He is it himself, my friend Caroline. Actually, Joseph Mumba, Honorable President IFSW Global himself is a great inspiration for myself and the social worker across the world. So I was just mutely listening to a whole your presentation in the YouTube, and it's a great honor to be here, the next speaker of Honorable President of IFSW. Actually, I have no question to him, but I was mesmerizing to listening to all the talks and the sharing, how he has been planning with Dr. Rory Truell to expand and expedite social work to empower the people of the communities from all walks of life. Actually, that is the social work grounding that social worker wants to do to bring community to a sustainable position. So Mr. Mumba, actually, he is leading IFSW, and he is giving us hope how to the social worker in the developing country to be empowered themselves personally, I mean individually and institutionally, then nationally so far, I think. Because social worker works from micro to macro. So definitely IFSW being our lead organization, I mean association global, definitely they are thinking about to empower the social workers across the world. And always I got some hope from him to work in Bangladesh, because in our country social work still not a profession. I have been with my colleagues and volunteers been fighting a lot to bring social work to the limelight among the people, that social work is not the charity only, social work is not the well-being to the people. Social work is very scientific, and it's a process of development, process of change and process of empowerment. So we have been actually planning, thinking a lot, having so many challenges, obstacles, but from our leader and from other leader also, from Dr. Rory and other leader of social work field, that me personally achieve and acquire from them that social workers should be first self-empowered transforming all the challenges and obstacles to the opportunities. So IFSW is in the right direction, and so far I do believe that actually my friend Josie Momba always inspire my team that just go slow and having a passionate mind to extend the social work that you have already, but you have to go forward, inviting people not only from the academic field, from the practicing field. So the bridge will be automatically actually enhanced to minimize the gap between the academy of social work and the practice. So I'm very happy to see you, my friend, here, and it's a great honor to see you here in person after few more months of writing.
Yeah, great to see you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Harry,
you.
for your comment. And really, we appreciate a lot, Joaquin, for this opportunity for us, for Peruvians and Latin American. We will pass in social networks and this video. No, well, so many people speak Spanish, and so when finished the transmission, the YouTube automatically put the subtitles and people could read. So, but many thanks again, and have a good time. We really appreciate your work and all this empower to social work, and we congratulate for the International Congress in Panama. We really appreciate a lot all this motivation and all this energy we saw in this Congress. Really was a beautiful experience. I never expect, and I never passed it in other Congress. I thought and I met you there, no? And now we are here and with more time, and we will promote all that you are speaking today through social networks. Thank you so much, Joaquin. Your last word for everyone? Let me say.
No, thank you so much. The pleasure is mine, and I'm humbled for having invited me. I know that I owe Habib. I need to I need to work out how I manage to be part of his Congress, and so I know I'll be out in the field, but I'm trying to put in place, some measures to see if I can participate online. So yeah, I'll give you an update. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. Ahí dice Tamber say, sir, please, charity and philanthropy and charity discuss in a perspective of social work. Some people say it's same to social work.
Yeah, is that a question? Sounds like one. Yeah, we're faced with such questions where sometimes I've spoken even on national television to say some people confuse social work with doing good. So people think that when you are a do-gooder, now for lack of better term, when you are a do-gooder, then you are a social worker. I want to disagree with that. Of course, yes, social work is about doing good to the community, to the people that we serve, but it's not every act of doing good which is social work. Social work is a profession. It's a science, as Habib has said. And there is, in some places, I've argued that social work is a social science, but social science is not social work. Again, I want you to reflect on that. It sounds philosophical, but you can digest on that and think through. So social work really is a profession, and someone has to be trained, and that particular person needs to graduate as a social worker with necessary skills and knowledge and competencies to be able to practice social work. So it's not about waking up in the morning and feel like I want to be a social worker or I'm a social worker. It's not about that. Yeah.
Right.
Is okay, Tambert, with the answer?
Yeah. Our president perfectly described the issues that philanthropy and actually charity, people mingle these two things with social work, but social work, it's very scientific, it's a process, and it
Sure.
follows some techniques, tools, guidelines, and ethical values actually. But what people do in our country, even when they do some charity and well-being, they make people dependent sometimes, but they think they are doing social work. And actually, definition wise, social work, misdefined sometimes this way that people are doing this sort of philanthropy. But every social worker has philanthropic mind, charity mind. It's true. Every social worker has a good mind, isn't it, my friend, Honorable President? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the answer. And
But I have a question to our president.
oh, yeah, you did. You could do.
Actually, my desire, not question, if he really wants me to do social work in my country with collaboration to other countries also, to do good for social work, definitely he should have a commitment for us to visit Bangladesh soon, right? we
Yeah.
want him to see here.
Yeah, we'll look at that. We'll look at how our budget looks like for the next
Peru
year.
too, huh?
Can plan
Don't
around
forget
that.
Peru too.
Yeah.
The social work welfare is being taught in our country more than 7 decades, but still we are not recognized social worker as a profession. So we have been fighting a lot. But if you and our colleague Dr. Rory sit together, sit with the academic professor and other organizations through a platform, we do believe we can be very boast up soon and we can do something better that we have been doing here.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, now thank you so much again, Joaquin, for being here. Really. Thank you. And now it's time for Hannibal. Thank you so much again. Yeah, Hannibal, ahí está. Okay, Hannibal, now it's time for Hannibal. Our friend and colleague Habibur Rahman is the founding president of the Community Social Work Practice and Development Foundation, CSWPD Foundation, a non-profit organization in Bangladesh that promotes social work internships, research, and capacity building training towards bridging the gap between academic teaching and practice of social work. We are very happy and it's an honor to have Habibur as one of our speakers today in our Congress. Hello, Habibur. Good morning for us. Good morning, good afternoon for you, or good night. How are you doing?
Yes, good. Thank you. Good morning and good evening to my Bangladeshi colleagues, Indian colleagues, and South Asian colleagues. It's a great honor for me to be here today and pleasure myself really. And special thanks definitely goes to you because you made it possible. It's a great event for the social worker, and that as a passionate social worker, I love to share. I love to learn. I love to listen
Thanks.
always social work dialogue, but you actually, I found you very passionately asking us to be gathered together, to share, to learn. As a social
Yeah.
worker, that I always believe sharing is caring. It's very important. That actually I do believe. And before going to the talk on the topic is empowering next generations. I would request you to show my the slide on the slide on the title. empowering new generations, how to develop young people for the sustainable future. Actually, I will talk on that. And before coming here, coming to the talk of the title, I should say a few words about me. Actually, I'm an academician. Beside, I'm a practitioner. I have been teaching in an university social work, but during the classroom teaching in our country context, when I talk to my students on community development, community organization, I got some, mismatch with my talk and the practice. Then I decided what to do. Work taught us to have a partnership between the classroom and the community engagement. When I only talk to my students within the classroom about social work, about empowerment, about values, ethics, justice, equity, equality, so many things are there inside of the classroom. Equally, we taught our students that social work defines a partnership of academic and the field work, community engagement. Then I got some, perception in me that how I'm teaching to my students within the classroom, as without any lab that is supposed to be held in the community as a social worker. Actually, I'm cheating with my students. It's not a good approach. Only teach them within the classroom. So I should send my students to the fieldwork, internship, not traditional fieldwork. They should have some close contact with the community people, how people are leading life. And it touched my heart. And what should I do? What should I do for the youth, for the next generation, for the next society? How do I want to see our community? How community can be a sustainable one? Many things actually touched my mind before 10 to 14 years of work. Then I have been starting to think that what should I do? Being a teacher, what can I be close to the community people, rather teaching students within the classroom. Then I talk to my colleagues, talk to my students, some community friends. Then I'd love to form a organization that, you know, by this organization, I can be close to the people. But when I'm a teacher, when I go to the community-based organizations, some organization people give me feedback that you are a teacher. So your duty is to teach the students, not to the field. They have some common perception. But I just formed that foundation with my colleagues, with my team. Then being the equal, being the partner of them, I talked to the community organization that now we have an organization, we can have some partnership, CSO or organization, we can have some partnership. So we can share each other, we can help each other really. Then community social work practice and development foundation was formed with this motto to serve the community, to see the community a viable one, a dependable, a reliant ones, and a sustainable one, having some missions with a good vision to see a sustainable community. So I formed that community having the essence of the community in my heart, that a community is a component that includes individual, group, and collective nature of people. We have been working on that. But since the formation of Community Social Work Practice and Development Foundation, we have been promoting with a good priority of the youth, young generations, my students, my volunteers, set of volunteers, young children, and of course, the adult and elderly people sometime. Because communities form with the variety of classes of people. So when we see empowering community, definitely we have to think for the people from all walks of life. But as my topic is today, empowering new generations, how to develop the young people today. Just let me explain the difference between myself, my generation, and my son and daughters, I mean, next generation. There is a huge gap. There is a good paradigm shift of thinking, of vision, of perception. So many things are there. If I mention in terms of thinking pattern, there is a huge gap of the upcoming generation and our present generation. They are super fast, technologically very sound. In terms of interaction, they are a good interactive person, our kids. But still, through our foundation, we have been promoting children in various ways, considering their mental health. We have been doing a project on accelerating mental health development among the secondary students through social work intervention, school social work intervention. That might be the first project here in our country context, where to develop mental health situation of young children, school social worker might have a role, contributory role. Actually, we are doing this project as a pilot. How social worker can contribute in developing the traditional tricky mindset, reducing unrest of the young people, those who are studying in grade 8, 9, and 10, class 10. Because naturally, the teenagers are found very unrest. They are actually not in good mood. Always they are in a hurry. Always they are doing overjudge others. Their mind is not stable. There are so many natural things happening in the mind. So being the lead of the project, I thought, how can I include social work intervention to develop the mental setting or the mindset or the mental well-being of the young generation? Those are supposed to be the leader of the country. Actually, that was that was my perception how to develop. But rather that there are so many things to help the new generation to be properly groomed up, which is possible. In the mental health project that I share you to groom up the young generation, groom up the teenagers, we follow a triangular model. I'm just showing you the model. Just
Habibur, I cannot see you.
I back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
As I actually I'm not showing any slide, but that I was talking to you to develop the young champs, young generation, the kids. I have been leading with my team a project accelerating mental health of the young children, those who are studying in grade 8, 9, and 10, following a model where social worker is very prominent. So I would like to show you the model that I have been leading in 10 schools in our country, in the capital city, Dhaka. There is a model, triangular model. You can you see Professor Estella, Grace, and Carolina?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
see this?
we are seeing you.
All right, this is a triangular model. You can see in the top students, then teachers in the bottom, and parents, and the middle school social worker. This model might be implemented in other countries, but here, for the first time so far now, till today, I have been with my team doing this project as a school social work intervention to accelerate mental health or mental well-being of the teenagers, like 8 to 10 students in our country. I do believe if social work works or social work has scope to work properly, professionally, then they can contribute for the students, they can contribute to the teachers, they can contribute to the parents, or they can soothe, they can heal the mental unrest of the young generation, they can contribute to prepare the young generation for the next new one, good generation, by consulting with the parents, by consulting with the teachers of the school, which is very important. We have been working on that. And so, as I'm talking as a social worker, I firmly believe that if social worker can work, if social worker can have scope to work, they can have a huge potential to work with the current generation to make them, transform them as a new productive generation. It's very, very important. In our country context, there are so many organizations working with the youth class to produce the volunteers, to produce young social workers for the next. If we could just, give them the real and true essence of social work, ethics, values, techniques, strategies, true guidelines, how to become a good citizen or new good generation, having that ethical values and standards of social work, it might be truly effective for them. But as in our country, social work is not a profession. Professionally, we cannot contribute them, but we have been contributing. Many association, many philanthropic people with charity mind, they have been doing a lot for the youth class, for the mid-age people, for the elderly people, but without recognition as a professional social worker, as still we are not a social worker. So I do believe we have huge opportunities to contribute for the for creating a new sustainable generation, complete generation, giving them holistic approach of support, holistically variety of support. If we could contribute them, it's possible. But still, we have so many shortages and limitations and constraints to support them. But if we can make a forum or association nationally, which is not still functional, if we can collaborate among the social work agencies, if we can collaborate with the government, if we can collaborate with the CSOs, community-based organizations, if we can collaborate the research organizations, then we can estimate, we can make a national register for the age, various people and the young generations. Then we can classify their needs and demands. We can do some research on that, how just to assess their current needs of the young people. It might be from the age 6 or 8 to below 18 or 16. That would be a great work for them, really. After having a good estimation, after having a good the number estimated, we can plan properly, or we can support our government to work properly, how the current generation could be a new good generation to support our country towards a sustainability, towards sustainability or resilient community for the next time. So I think there are so many scope to support them. Definitely education should be the first priority, because we know education, if we can ensure education properly, 100% education, because in our country still we couldn't reach education level, literacy level up to 100%. So if we can ensure education, then education will automatically produce them knowledge, skills and wisdom. So definitely being educated or being literate they will definitely turn to be a good human being. And if there is a good human being ensured, definitely they will be a good, actor for the changing country, for the next country, or for the next upcoming country or generation. So I do believe we have so many things to work for the generation to transform them as a potential new generation. So I think initially that's all from my side, my friend. And there are a few friends here: Professor Estela from Philippines, Mary from India, Tanvir, my friend Josimir here. Actually, we have been scatteredly doing so many things for the people, for the young people here, or for the elderly people here. But if we can coordinate it properly through a good planning among the association, planning among the organizations, with a good coordination with the government, which is still in lack, that would be a good support for our upcoming generations to shape up their future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hannibal. So some friends who are in the room who like to speak, give a comment. So maybe Angeline would like to do a little dialogue with our friend Hannibal, or Joaquin, maybe some questions for Hannibal too, or Lucia, Amber. Let's see. Hello.
Hi, Prof.
Hello. Hi, Professor Habib.
How are
Hello,
you?
Carolina. How are you?
Hi, Mary. How are
Hi.
you? No, fine.
Actually, Mary is super busy lady, so it's very tough to catch her after Friday.
Sure.
It's good. Carolina, good.
Habib. I'm so
Well,
sorry.
you know, the experience of Javi was more than me. Maybe if you would like to do a little comment for his work, no?
Yes. Habibur is doing wonderfully well, and a very good friend. And we met in Thailand during a conference of Eurasia, and we have signed a MOU to work together. And his work with the students is really great, and I'm really amazed by the model that he has shown. I would like to learn a lot from that. And I think we are visiting Habibur in the month of November. Yes, for the
Yes,
conference,
we are waiting
and
eagerly
we
to
will
see
get
you
to know
here.
more about your work,
Sure.
Habibur. Thank you so
Yes,
much
of
for
course.
referring me for this conference. As you said, I was busy with the NAC accreditation and many other activities of the institution. But then if Habibur says, Angeline, why don't you speak? He's my friend. I should definitely accept. And sweet Carolina, thank you so much for accepting me as a
It's
speaker.
my pleasure, really, Joaquin, Javi, or Mary. Yes, you accept, no, even the short time that I asked you, no, and we were just coordinating all these days for doing this, no.
Yeah, when Carolina asked me, then I thought Dr. Mary is the perfect person to talk a lot about so many things, right? So I directly communicated her, and kindly she accepted our request to give some time today, right? I know
But
she was very busy.
Javier, you forgot that you have a congress and invite people. No, you have a space now, a time that he's organizing a congress on
Yes.
November.
Yes. Hello,
Tell to the
friends.
people, tell to the people who is watching you.
My friends watching here today and will be watching on the Facebook soon, longer time later, I think, this Congress organized by Kappa Social Work, our friend Carolina. In this platform, I would request you to watch online, and those possible for them to come to Bangladesh in November 14 to 16, our 7th international conference on empowering communities, the role of social work for sustainable future for our 7th international conference. Hopefully our friends, Mr. Jose Mumba, Honorable President, IFSW Global, he will be, of course, with us virtually this time because he is very busy to come and it's very tough for him to travel in person. But our friend Mary, Dr. Mary Angeline, she's coming, and many other friends coming from other countries also, and many more joining virtually. So I request you to join our online version, those who are not coming in person. Our session started from 14 to 16 next month. So I would be very happy. We would be very happy to see you if you watch our session online next month. Thank you.
Yeah, but for people who are not in present, will be virtual, no? If maybe people is watching like to be in the Congress, they
Yeah.
could be in virtual. I'll be in virtually.
Thank you.
So what do you think, Joaquin, about the any comment about the Habibur speech?
Oh, very great. And Habib is really, I've known him since I think 2021. It should have been 2021. And he's doing great work, and he's really an outstanding social worker with a lot of innovation. I'm yet to meet him in person, so yeah.
So, my friend, this is your next commitment, or your next commitment should be visiting India or Bangladesh soon, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And good news from Bangladesh that we have been doing that were very scattered, but recently we are working on forming an Bangladesh Association of Social Welfare work. Actually, we are working with the government even. So hopefully we could give you a good feedback in later months so far, inshallah, from Bangladesh. Professor Lucia Stella is here from Philippines.
In Bangladesh, how many years is the career of social work?
It started, academic teaching has started on 1956-57, long years so far, I think 7 decades.
How long is 1 year, 3 years, 4 years, 5?
70 years, 70.
Sorry. How long takes the career? Study all the career of social work.
Oh yeah, here is academic year is, you say BSW, or we told here, BSS, Bachelor of Social Science in Social Work. This is a 4 years degree, 4 years.
Yeah.
Then 1 year for masters, or there is MPhil, 2 years. PhD is here also in social work.
But for a bachelor is 4 years.
4 years, yeah. But initially it was 3 years bachelor degree.
O sea, when they finish the 3rd year, they could work?
No.
Yeah, when they finish the 4th year.
As a social work undergrad student, in academic field, we send our students for internship at the end of their bachelor degree for 1 semester. It is for 6 months. We said block format field work. In masters, there is also this same pattern of field work, but as social work or worker cannot work as a social worker professionally, they are doing job in other fields. After teaching as a professor or lecturer, they go for other fields as a career.
Yeah. And what are the courses they have in social work in your country?
In our curriculum, we design our curriculum having some major or core courses from social work field, and there are some other elite courses, non-major courses. Like besides social work, methodological course or core course, research, statistics, developments, policy planning. There are some other courses help from psychology, sociology, environment, some from climate, criminology, like this mixed. Our language course are there.
And what about the clinical social work? Do you think?
In 2 universities, there is clinical social work specialized masters 1-year course.
Oh,
But yeah,
one,
but
one
in
year. Is 1 year?
one year, 12 month, 1 year.
Oh, a master is 1 year.
Master is 1 year, and there is another program for 2 years, masters.
Oh, good. Good to hear that. Eh? Okay. Okay.
So
A ver, any other question?
academically, it's good, I think.
Yeah, I see. A ver, Buban or Lucia, Tamber, if you have any questions for our friend Habibur.
Hi there, how are you? I hope you people
Yeah.
are safe and sound. It's me, Tanveer Alam from Pakistan.
Oh, Tanveer.
Thank you. I'm recently graduated from Social Work Department, University of Peshawar. I have learned different subjects like sociology, social psychology, social research methodology, criminology, community development, and so many subjects are related to social work. Here, after graduation, some students are doing internship and also available opportunities for the in the welfare sectors. Some students are become teacher, and here bachelors are 2 years. We call BS. And many universities are BS is for 4 year, master is for 2 years, and PhD are for 4 years. We have many opportunities available like CSC scholarships. We are applying for CSC scholarship, Erasmus Mundus, and some global opportunities are available. So my experience is very diverse. I have worked as a student in 4 organizations. We have started field work from 5th semester, and then in a week, 1 day we are giving to the field work in Pakistan. In fieldwork experience, we are interacting with the students, with the patients like drug addicts and disabled persons. We are doing also advocacy in the fieldwork. Recently, I have completed my one fieldwork in Dosti Welfare Organization, which is working on the education. They are promoting primary education in children's. It was a very amazing experience, teach to the underprivileged students. And the second fieldwork I completed in the paraplegic center, which is we are providing psychosocial counseling to the disabled persons. And also paraplegic center was rehabilitation center. And the third fieldwork I have completed in the Frontier Foundation. The Frontier Foundation was working on the thalassemia and hemophilia patients. We are going to the community advocacy for the dead patients. We are encouraging people for the donating bloods. We have a very diverse field here in Pakistan. Also, we are providing psychosocial counseling to the drug addicts. Here, social welfare organizations are working on the mental health, child labor, on community development, and also some social services providing to the elderly peoples. So it was my an experience, and recently I have completed my research on psychosocial problems faced by male elderly in Pathan society. I case study of my area, Umarzai. It was a very amazing experience. I'm interested in social research. My social research area is aging, crime, and child and children's, also GBV. So it was a very good experience to elevate my struggle to social work field. And also I'm working in the community for the enhancing the my I'm educating for the vulnerable people in the community, and also providing counseling to the youth how to become a good and confident leader in the community, how to work and protect your mental health from the mental health disease. Now, due to modernizations, a lot of issues arise in our global world, and we need to tackle these kind of issues. Child labor is very warm issue in Pakistan due to higher population, and I'm requesting to the IFSW kindly launch some project in Pakistan for the child development, because of our child is upcoming nations. So it was my experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Tanvir. You have wide experiences and
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
knowledge, depth
And
knowledge of various areas. So hopefully, if you could do
yeah,
well in
sir, currently I'm
Yes.
applying for the CSC scholarship, which is available in the China.
yeah. And
So
hopefully, you
kindly,
could
if you
do
have,
more collaboration with some other countries too soon.
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Interest and you have a passion to introduce social work in all these areas. It's a good approach, I do believe. You must do well so far.
Yeah, actually, social work is all about the knowing yourself, knowing himself, knowing the community, society, how to interact and how to um, interact with the community, society, to the group. It's all about the interactions, and also working on the development.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Keep in touch, and we are very delighted to have our honorable president of IFSW here. Definitely, he listened to your talk, my talk even, and they have a plan to expedite the work of social work globally. But it will definitely take time because the whole world
Yes,
gradually it's been developing. Social was being actually being spreaded day by day. So we are hoping for the better days of social work.
yes, sir.
Carolina, our friend, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, answering some questions online. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Actually, Tanvir was talking about how he can do more social work projects in building their communities in all aspects. So I just shared him that make some more collaborations, communications, make your communications wider gradually, keeping some specific focus to working areas of writing, then you can definitely have some support from other friends of other countries to continue your dream projects and disability and addiction, recovery, right?
Sure.
That would be great, I think.
That's great. Good.
And Carolina, you are doing a great job, really, because many people are on a same platform. So we are being
Yeah,
connected each other, and connectivity is productivity, of course, with positivity. So,
sure.
of course,
I hope at the ending we will have a document, for sharing later. Yeah.
yeah,
Please,
of course.
if everyone who is speaking could send me just an article to the
That's great. So,
editing. So I think we need to finish because Mary is waiting. But really, thank you so much, Habibur, for accept this time, for accept and help us, no, and say, okay, let's go, or just help. Yes, giving us energy and motivation for doing this, no? And a collaboration. No? We are always are just coordinating and talking for for this, and also for your Congress that will be on November. So everyone,
yeah,
listen,
thank you so much.
listen for stay in touch with Avivor for their Congress, and register on his Facebook, for attend. Well, thank you so much, Avivor. Any words? Your final words?
Thank you. Always, I believe on connectivity and friendship, because social worker has to deal with the people, of course, having some problems. So connectivity, sharing with positivity reduces the problem, enhances the potential. So I'm happy to be here today, and I hope we might have definitely more collaboration with more friends across the world to spread social work journey towards its professionalism in the developing countries, and more expansion in the developed countries also in near future. So hope to see you some days in Bangladesh in next year or the next. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now it's time for our friend Mary. Ahí está con Mary. Our friend and colleague Mary Angeline has over 16 years of service in teaching and professional practice as a social worker and social work educator. She has worked in each of these capacities in College of Repute, the latest being Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, India. Her research interests include women, tribal children, and development studies through action-based research in Tamil Nadu. Her area of primary research is with the tribal women in rural tribes. She has drafted many projects for the empowerment of these women. She has, to her credit, research publications over 10 in national and 10 in international journals and conference proceedings. She also has been a course writer for social work and development management course at the national and state level universities. She is in the peer review board of 5 international journals. We are very happy, and it is an honor to have Mary Angeline as one of our speakers and our Congress. Hello, Mary.
Hello, Carolina. Thank you so much for those kind words. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are behind the timing. I should have started my talk by 8. It's late here this evening in Chennai. And very good morning to all the people there who have joined in the different timelines. And very good evening to my friends here in India. I'm Dr. Mary Angeline, I'm the principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science. I'm basically a social worker as well as a social work educator and an administrator. I'm currently the principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science. And I'm really happy and thankful to Carolina for giving me this opportunity. And I appreciate the enormous effort that she has taken to bring 40 plus speakers online for the conference. It's amazing how you have done it, Carolina. And I'm really happy to be here. And this topic, this conference on the future of social well-being, mental health, human talent of organization in the digital age. I think it is a very apt theme that you have conceived, which explores how technology can reshape the individuals and how they thrive socially and emotionally, as well as how organizations manage their talent. So I would now jump into my presentation. Just need a confirmation if you are able to. Is it visible, Carolina?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes, thank you so much for the confirmation. And before I could go on to the topic, I would like to introduce my institution where I come from. Nazareth College of Arts and Science is situated at Avadi, Chennai. We are a rural-based college. And we were established conventional courses. We are affiliated to the University of Madras, and this college aims to foster academic excellence and holistic development. We offer 9 undergraduate courses and 4 postgraduate courses, of which we have 1 undergraduate course, Bachelor of Social Work, and 1 postgraduate course, Master of Social Work, with 3 specializations. We also have 8 centers of excellence, 9 associations, and many more cells and clubs that support our students in the institution. Our distinctiveness is in community service and social responsibility. And this is integral to the college ethos. And the students are encouraged to engage in various outreach programs. The motto of our college is truth, joy, and peace. That represents the institution always strives to instill in its students and the community. The Nazareth College is known for its many best practices towards all the projects that is done for the community and its distinctiveness in sports. And since we are a rural-based college, 60% of our students come from below poverty line. They are first-generation learners. And digital transformation was very difficult for us. In particular, when during COVID-19, it was an eye-opener for our students and faculty. It helped us to sort of move from a traditional teaching to online teaching post-pandemic. But we had no other option to go into transformation of our education system. We had to give more importance to online learning through Google Classrooms. And that's how we also transformed into the digital world. And with no other go, the social work students also had to be part of it. You know, social work education is not only educating the students in class with theory, but it is more of a fieldwork based education. But transition to the digital world was very difficult for us, but we did really very well. So going on to my topic, digital transformation in social work. I start my presentation. This is how I go about. Since I always go on extempore, this time I thought, because we have a lot of information to share on digital transformation, a few case studies and success stories, I thought let's go into a very formal format of how overview of what digital transformation is, the need for digital transformation in social work, and why digital transformation, the challenges that we face, the case studies of the success stories, the benefits of digital transformation, and finally, a call to action. Moving on to the overview of digital transformation. As I previously said, COVID-19 had become a real challenge for the society all over the world. And digitalization was inevitable in all professions, and especially in social work. So first, let us understand what digital transformation is. It is a continuous process of adopting digital technologies into all areas, and it is a strategic process to improve the current state of operation. You increase efficiency, you enhance the experience through the use of technological advancement. Digital initiatives, as you know, they require commitment from the leadership, change agents, the team members, but most importantly, it needs a fundamental change in the organizational culture. This is very important even for a social work profession. Rather than merely using more technologies to perform, we need to think how these digital advancements can improve our value delivery of our services to the individuals, groups, and communities. This shift to digitalization is not only merely adopting new technologies, but the change in how the services are delivered and how practitioners can engage with those they serve. That is, again, the individuals, groups, and communities. What are the key aspects of digital transformation? There are 4 key aspects that we can think of. One is technology integration. How we can integrate our technology into our service delivery when we work with individuals, groups, and communities. How the process of optimization, how social workers can reduce the manual effort and enable the real data exchange and monitoring when you work for service. How enhanced user experience and how you focus on engaging the digital interactions, whether with clients or beneficiaries. A cultural change, encouraging a mindset that can adopt to innovation and continuous learning. These are the 4 aspects that goes on for digital transformation. What is the need for digital transformation in social work? Because of the challenges that we face in traditional social work models. And COVID-19, I said, it was an eye-opener for all of us. So what are the challenges that traditional social work models faced? Accessibility barriers in remote areas. Our institution is located in a rural area, and we work with the villages in a rural area, and accessing or moving to the rural area to work for the communities was a greater problem. The limited resources and the gaps that we have in service delivery because of this traditional social work models. What are the opportunities through technology? Opportunities that opened up was mobile-based solutions and digital platforms. Mobile-based solutions, we have WhatsApp, and through which we were able to communicate our fieldwork reports. We were able to communicate with the fieldwork agencies. And digital platforms helped us a lot, like we used MyOS Connect and MAP SDGs as a digital platform for education, learning, and placement, and using the real-time data for decision-making and monitoring. Moving on to why digital transformation in social work. We need to expand our access to social services. These are a few examples. If you see the 7 points, they have the examples of what digital media is being used to access the social service. For example, expanding the access to social service, Telemanas. I will go in detail in the success stories of all these platforms. Enhancing efficiency and timeliness, Capterra. Data-driven interventions for informed decision-making, IHAT. Promoting inclusion and digital empowerment, that is through eShram. Strengthening community engagement through Gramavani. Facilitating a collaborative network, that is through Salesforce for nonprofits, and capacity building for social workers through MAP SDG. See, this is a representation of all the digital platforms. All these digital platforms have been working for the community, both at the individual basis, the group, and for the students too. And the people behind this who have developed this digital platforms are the social workers. As I said previously, what are the challenges and limitations of digital transformation with the digital limited internet access in remote regions? Yes, we are talking about connecting to the community from Nazareth College of Arts and Science, but I should know whether the client or the communities who are in the villages that we have adopted have this access to take or to connect with us for the various services that they need. Another important challenge or limitation can be the privacy and data security issues. As you know, principle of confidentiality is very important in social work, and how this data that we get from the community or the individuals is protected. Next is the capacity building. How do we train the social workers who have always been on the traditional mode of doing casework, group work, writing it down and talking to people? How will they use technology effectively? So let's see a few of us success stories. The first success story is Sati. This is the support for advocacy and training to health initiatives. This is an amazing digital platform which can be expanded to support advocacy training for health initiative, which provides emotional and mental health support for women in distress. This offers a very safe space for women. They can come and discuss the issues. They can receive professional guidance anonymously. That is very important. Receiving a guidance anonymously. Sati works on health right issues through partnership, through civil society organizations. And what is the reach and effectiveness of Sati? Thousands of women have accessed the mental health resources through this app. They have increased the awareness about mental health issues among rural women. Let's go to the next success story. These are some of the activities done by Sati. You see a group of women who are seated here for understanding the level of awareness. Going on to the next platform, which is very dear to me. This is called the Digital Empowerment Foundation. This is a Delhi-based non-profit organization that is working towards empowering people to gain access to better healthcare, education, skills, and livelihood opportunities through digital literacy and digital tools. So the people behind this project or behind Digital Empowerment Foundation are a group of social workers, IT professionals, and people who are like-minded who have joined this. This organization focuses to make technology easily accessible to the masses, to empower women, youth, persons with disabilities, and the elderly through providing digital literacy, media literacy, and digital upskilling. What is the success metrics of this foundation? Thousands of women have been trained, leading to increased participation in government welfare programs. There is improved income levels. The income levels of the women have improved through these digital platforms for entrepreneurship. The third case study or success story is of Arman. Arman is a free mobile voice call service that sends timed and targeted preventive care information on a weekly or bi-weekly basis directly to the phones of the enrolled women through pregnancy and infancy in the chosen language and time slot. Again, what is the success metrics of this? Arman has reached 2 lakhs beneficiaries across urban slums, thereby improving the healthcare outcomes through culturally relevant health information. They partner with NGOs, hospitals, and municipalities. This also aims to reach close to 5 million beneficiaries in the coming years. What is the next, the fourth success story or a case study is Gramavani. Gramavani is a voice-based platform for communities to report their issues, exchange ideas, and engage with local governance. It is a social technology platform that leverages on the interactive voice response IVR, and through this, the users share the local news, health tips, information on governance, agriculture, and social issues, empowering the marginalized group. The success metrics of Gramavani. Over 2.5 million users are using, primarily from the underserved rural areas uses, and there are thousands of local stories and updates shared through the IVR platform and grievances also. It has helped in resolving civic issues and improving the healthcare delivery. The next one is for the education, MAP SDGs. MAP SDGs is a platform that empowers the organizations to make a real difference with innovations. It helps organizations like academic institutions, NGOs, and corporates and CSR initiatives to report compliance and measure the contribution towards the global sustainability. It's a versatile platform designed for diverse sectors. What is the success? Capacity building programs for social workers and social educators are currently given through MAP SDGs. I'm really happy to say this is one of our patent of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, and capacity building program for social workers and social educators are through this platform. It goes on with curriculum mapping, how the projects, there is an impact, how the impact is measured. And through the SDG Transformation Center, we sort of do a lot of research projects. What about the success metrics? The institutions can monitor their projects and initiatives. Then automated reports are aligned with the global reporting standards. And it also fosters the teamwork within the organizations and also facilitates external partnership. It focuses on areas that institutions can track their progress effectively and create meaningful, scalable impact, aligning them with the SDGs. The next success story is ComCare. ComCare is widely used across India. This is an open source mobile platform which helps social and community workers monitor the health interventions, conduct surveys, and collect real-time data. It provides automated reminders for follow-ups and making it very valuable for both the social work and healthcare sectors. The success metrics. It has facilitated critical health interventions such as child health campaigns, maternal care, and early childhood development, and impacted over 77,000 clients across multiple countries, including India, Nigeria, and Kenya. It has empowered social workers and given them greater autonomy by self-signing for services and completing their interventions independently. The next success story is My Hero. My Hero was initially developed for health workers. This is a platform that can be adapted for social work, and the success metrics are connected with 17,000 health workers have been using it and coordinating among health systems. Going on to the benefits of digital transformation, as I said, it is enhanced digital transformation has enhanced the accessibility of the services to the marginalized communities. It has increased efficiency to the cellular service, reducing the response times and reducing the wastage. It has promoted inclusion. Digital platforms can engage users who were previously underserved, ensuring the voices are heard. And scalability, we are able to use this at a greater extent. And for all the social work institution, all the social works in India can use this platform for their service and for learning and for an educational platform to communicate with the community, be community with the individual or in the groups. Going on for the call of action. So invest, I would say, social work institutions should invest in digital infrastructure so that they have a better access to the communities, implement capacity building program for social workers, then foster public-private partnership to innovate solutions, because higher education institutions alone cannot work on innovation. They will have to have partnerships. A collaborative approach is always essential if we have to realize the benefits of the digital transformation in social work. So finally, we need to ensure that no one is left behind. So what is the vision for the future? You prioritize and inclusive policies that account for the needs of the most vulnerable people. You leverage on technology to ensure that equitable access to social services are there for all. You continually assess and adapt strategies to meet the evolving needs of the communities, reduce the delays and ensure timely assistance, which is through automation, increase outreach to remote and unserved areas through mobile platforms, help social workers make informed decisions using the analytics and dashboards, allow services to reach more beneficiaries at a reduced operational cost. To conclude, the biggest part of digital transformation is changing the way that we think. Social workers need to change that we think so that we move on from the traditional method to a more digital way of dealing with things. I think this picture is worth 1,000 words. And thank you for your patient listening. This is Dr. Mary Angelin. This is my mail ID and my mobile number with the website of my institution. And I also have included my LinkedIn profile, Facebook, and my CV. Thank you once again for your patient listening.
Thank you so much, Mary. So now questions, friends. Maybe Habib could help us with some comments.
I'm also happy to share that we'll be doing a workshop on MAP SDGs at Habib's conference.
Yeah. Well, Mary, is really good work that you are doing with digital transformation and how the social workers need to prepare to integrate, in this in the system, because the digital is everywhere. What do you think are the problems in our society with social workers and with digital transformation? Are easy for social workers just integrate to this transformation?
Yes, I told you that we come from a rural college and we are situated outside Chennai. And adopting digital transformation was very difficult for us, and still we face a lot of difficulties because students come from a lower economic status, having a mobile phone. If you have to use an app, they need to possess a mobile. And buying a mobile itself is a very big challenge for the student. And if that student is going to do social work, then it becomes difficult for him to adopt. While in cities and I think in the urban areas, the students have tried to include digital transformation. We are training our students also to do the same. Like now, when they're going for field work, we are recording the attendance by the form of doing a geotagging and seeing that they are present in the institution for the fieldwork process. Instead of asking the fieldwork supervisor, "Oh, has my student turned up for the fieldwork?" Uh, so we have slowly moved from the traditional method of marking the attendance into more digitalized process. Now we are into Instagrams because we do a lot of service and we connect with communities. We learn through their experience. We do many projects which we want the others to see and learn from us also. Social workers need to share knowledge. That's how we learn. Each country must be doing a different way. By learning, I think we can do a better job to the community that we work with. So we are using Instagram to make the others follow us and understand the work that we are doing. We are using Google Classroom in an asynchronized mode, although post-COVID, most of the colleges have done with the online teaching and not using the Google Classroom. We have still modified our syllabus so that we have 75% of classrooms and 25% of Google Classrooms, wherein we do the assessment, they do the self-study, we pose the questions, we have the assessments. And so we are taking small baby steps towards digital transformation. And I can assure you in another 2 years, we'll be doing really fine. And one of the innovation I can share with you is MAP SDG, which targets the faculty and the students, wherein they can map their curriculum, the various activities activities they do for the community, and the various activities they do for their cells and associations, and also map the learning and teaching methodology. That's the new innovation of our college, which we are sort of publicizing for other institutions to follow, because we are really enjoying working in that platform.
Do you have a special course of digital transformation in the university for the students?
No, we do not have a special course on digital transformation, but we hope to bring it through a Nazareth SDG Transformation Center of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, which we inaugurated last year during an international conference which happened at Chennai Loyola College. And we hope to bring this course, digital transformation course, specifically targeted for social workers in the coming academic year 2025.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Congratulations. Any question,
Thank you.
Tamber?
Pardon?
Tamber, you would like to do any question? No? Yeah. And in your country, well, we know that is a special that the people, no, the other careers also have experts in digital careers. Even they specialize.
Our college has BSc Computer Science and bachelor's in Computer Application. And our students are very smart. They are developing the apps.
Yeah.
And recently we gave a project to one of the BCA department to develop an app for our social workers. And they are doing fine. I think it's small steps. small steps, and you should be doing fine in another 2 years.
Yeah, but when you are just in the area, no, when other careers are growing up and the social workers are watching, no, their friends, no? So they like to grow up too. So that's why you are. I don't see so much social workers as you that teach, no, the digital subjects on anything, no, like that. So is the first woman that I met who speak about this subject, and I really congratulate for that, and for all the things that you we will continue seeing us out in the future for more for sharing more experience and to know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
You should visit SDG Transformation Center. We are doing amazing work there. We have incubation facility. We are working with 5 adopted villages. We are rolling out many field live projects, and we do have a workshop that is scheduled in the month of January 2025, wherein we have 4 to 5 of our MOU partners visiting us for a 10-day live project experience with us. So I would
Wow.
welcome Carolina also to be part of it. We
Thank
hope to see you in the month of January 2025. We will send you the details so that you can work on it. And Habibur is coming.
Oh, that's
And we have
great.
a
That's
team,
great.
yes, and we have a team from Thailand, 10 social workers who are going to visit us in January.
Okay, we will put in the agenda. Now we have a question of Idris. A ver, Idris, show up.
Yeah, hello.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Mary. It was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it because I'm a joint master student here in Europe. So we have a subject called digital social work, and we are studying all the approaches and what you mentioned. And your work was really inspiring because it was so much practical, especially the case studies. So I truly, really appreciate it. You have done some great job. So I'm really interested to follow your work and your website, especially to connect with you in this regard. And lately, I joined this conference. I was listening to Professor Habibur Rahman. He is a gem in our social work because he is the one who has a social genius. I call him a social genius because he connect everyone with everyone, and he give us opportunity. And also with the organizer of this conference, I truly appreciate, although we are from different part of the world, but we are listening to each other, we are learning from each other. It was so much nice to especially listen to Habibur Rahman and Mary, to you. It's been my pleasure to be with you in this conference. Really appreciated this work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Idris. You're welcome to Chennai, India, and you're also welcome to our SDG Transformation Center. We would definitely love to work with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Actually, my area of research is school social work. So
Wonderful.
I'm from Pakistan. So I was the pioneer of school social work in Pakistan. I have buried some work in India. It's going well. And Europe, there's somehow. But I would really want to see how Indian school social work is going on and how they are adopting the new tools, and they contextualize the school social work. So I think in the previous this sessions, Habibur Rahman was talking about school social work. I saw something on Facebook, but I was not there. So I will later on I will see the video and watch it so that I can I know what was there actually. So I hope to see you somewhere there in India to participate and collaborate with you. But great job! You're doing such a great and inspiring work. It's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Idris or Idris. Well, really, we appreciate all your work, Again, no, we don't have words to say thank you for being here today and share your experience, share your knowledge with the people who is right now in the room and who is watching us in YouTube and people who will watch you later, no, because some people are just on other times, but I really appreciate all your work, Mary, again, and sure, we will continue
Thank you.
in contact.
And namaste from India. Thank you. Thank you.
Your final words, Mary, for the audience.
It is a wonderful session today, and I have no words to thank Carolina. And I'm really happy that I spoke on digital transformation because it's the first time I'm speaking. And
Really?
I always tell myself, yes, it's the first time I'm speaking on the topic. And these are a few success stories that I've shared with you. There are many success stories because paucity of time, I just chose which is the best and I have shared with you. And my talk now has inspired me to learn more on the digitalization, not only in India, but how this transformation has happened throughout the world. Maybe I would love to write a book on it. Let's see what's the plan is there for the future.
A lot of energy for books.
Anybody who wants to join me can join me as a co-author for this book. Thank you once again, Carolina. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mary, for being here today. And now it's a turn of Dr. Ronald. Hello, she's Mary from India, and he's Ronald from the United States.
Hello.
Thank you all for the welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm Ron O'Donnell, a clinical psychologist and clinical professor with Arizona State University. That's located in the Southwest United States in the city of Phoenix, the state of Arizona. But I work remotely. I teach online. I work and live near Boston on the East Coast of the United States. So I'm happy to see you all today, and I really enjoyed Mary's presentation. I'm a huge fan of digital health, not just the kind of things you showed, resources to help clinicians, but the increasing availability of smartphone apps to help patients learn how to manage their health more effectively, mental health and lifestyle, exercise. So a great presentation, Mary. I really enjoyed that. And also my colleague Habib. I know Habib for quite a while now. I've been doing training for his social workers in Bangladesh. So great to see Habib's presentation also.
Yeah.
So I'll share my screen now.
Now I will present you.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Our friend and colleague Ronald O'Donnell is a clinical professor, psychologist, and founding director of the Doctor of Behavioral Health Program 2008 and 2014 in the College of Health Solutions at Arizona State University in Phoenix, Arizona. He is president of Suncrank Health Solutions, an international behavioral health consulting company. Dr. O'Donnell maintains a psychotherapy practice in his local community. Dr. O'Donnell is a leader in the research, education, and training on global integrated behavioral healthcare, the use of behavioral intervention to improve both medical and psychiatric problems such as diabetes and depression in a global context. O'Donnell has led the development of the Doctor of Behavioral Health degree curriculum and internship training program and expansion to include both clinical and health management concentrations. O'Donnell is now working on the development of international education programs for the College of Health Solutions, as well as the development of new integrated healthcare degrees and physician certificate education programs. We are very happy, and it is an honor to have Ronald as one of our speakers at this Congress. Thank you so much, Ronald.
Thank you, Carolina, for the wonderful introduction. I'm very grateful for the invitation. Thank you. So this is my first time doing a presentation for Peru or South America. I've been doing work globally. I always share my contact information. So if you have any questions for me after my talk, feel free to email me, contact me on WhatsApp. I'm happy to talk to any of you any time in the future as I try to promote integrated healthcare globally. My own work has been both a consultant and a trainer. I did many years of work traveling to China, training physicians and nurses, psychologists, and social workers there in integrated healthcare, doing work in Southeast Asia since around 2015, 2016 in Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. In the last few years, I've extended my work to working with colleagues in India, Bangladesh, and just this year, Ghana and Nigeria. I'm currently a consultant for the World Health Organization in Vietnam, where I'm helping to write the first guidelines for psychological interventions for psychologists in Vietnam. I'm a clinical faculty. I'm not a full-time researcher, but I do some research projects. I'm currently leading a 5-year grant training social work intern students in my university in Phoenix. We have them learning online integrated healthcare. I've had some small seed grants and other grants to promote integrated healthcare globally over the years. So my talk will begin with integrated healthcare. What is it? Why do we need it? How do I learn to practice integrated healthcare? I'm going to cover a lot of slides today, so I'm going to go quickly and save time for question and discussion at the end. And of course, you can have my slides available in the presentation after the talk and talk to me if you have more questions on things I covered today. So the problem we're facing globally is a triple epidemic. We have COVID-19 that caused so much disruption and harm, and is still with us and still causing illness and pain and death. We have non-communicable diseases like type 2 diabetes and hypertension, which are increasing globally. And the reason they're increasing is largely because of our lifestyle, how we behave, how we act, what we do. How do we exercise or not? How do we eat healthy or not? Do we drink too much alcohol? Do we use tobacco? These are all the reasons that chronic diseases are increasing so much globally. And then mental health. We've seen an increase globally in mental health problems across the globe in psychological problems like depression. So we also know that non-communicable diseases, unhealthy habits, and psychological distress are all related. If you have a chronic illness like type 2 diabetes, you're likely to be having depression also. If you're using alcohol, you may have health problems, of course. And we know from research on COVID-19, if you are infected with COVID-19 and you have existing medical comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, your risk of having a poor outcome, either being sicker or even dying from COVID, are worse if your health status is poor. We have a workforce problem. Imagine you go to see your family doctor. You're not feeling well. You're feeling kind of run down. You're not sleeping well. You're tired, fatigued. And you go through all kind of laboratory testing and you see your doctor and he says to you, well, there's nothing medically wrong with you. Maybe you're just stressed out or depressed. And you say, well, what can I do, doctor? He says, well, maybe you could see a psychiatrist for depression. How about my sleep? Well, maybe some medication for your sleep. The problem is our workforce of physicians and nurses, they're excellent and doing a great job with medical care. They're not trained to offer us advice about how to improve our health, how to stop smoking, how to eat healthier, how to manage depression. Their only solution is medication, which of course medication is important, but we're missing the other side of the equation. How do we address our health behaviors? So there's a need for education and training for our medical colleagues in this area. Along with the previous presentation, there's a technology problem. We have emerging digital health technologies, online resources, like the prior presentation just showed you. We have smartphone apps for depression, for diabetes, for meditation. Increasingly, if patients have diabetes or hypertension, get a Bluetooth device and measure their blood sugar and their blood pressure at home via Bluetooth and have their doctor know what they're doing miles away. So great technology, but unfortunately, even though it's becoming widespread and consumers love it, consumers love health technology, digital health technologies, most of our clinicians are not recommending this to patients yet. So integrated healthcare, what is it? It's a way to integrate physical health and mental health, bring them together and treat them in a holistic way. It involves, of course, the healthcare system being redesigned to incorporate this, managing health outcomes, not just for medical, but for mental health, for lifestyle, training for healthcare professionals, and addressing basically physical and mental health in a way that is seamless and gives the patient one-stop shopping. So the definition in the United States is a practice of primary care and behavioral health clinicians working together with patients and families using a systematic and cost-effective approach to provide patient-centered care. It may address substance abuse, mental health, health behaviors, lifestyle things like exercise, physical activity, diet, nutrition, life stressors, crises, physical symptoms that are tied to stress. That's integrated healthcare. In the United States, it means oftentimes a clinician like a psychologist or social worker working right in the family doctor's office with the primary care physician team, having an office there. So if the family doctor says, oh, you have depression, go walk down the hall, please, and see my social worker. She'll help you with depression. Oh, you need to lose weight? See my social worker down the hall in her office. She can talk to you about exercise and diet plans to help you lose weight. It's one-stop shopping, and increasingly in the United States, social workers are filling this role, and they're doing psychotherapy, health coaching, lifestyle counseling. These are all things social workers in the United States are doing increasingly. It's a major source of jobs for social workers now in the United States. That's a good thing. Now, I know in most of the world, that's not the case, especially in developing countries. In my work in China, Southeast and South Asia, this is not the case. Social workers are doing good work, case management, finding resources, helping families, but they're not really doing psychotherapy, health coaching, integrated healthcare counseling. There's a need for that. And my talk today is about what are the competencies a social work needs to become an integrated healthcare practitioner. So ideally, the social worker will be in the primary care clinic or in the community. I understand there's no primary care clinic availability for many social workers, but their role is to help the patient address their medical problems. If they have type 2 diabetes, are they taking medication as prescribed? Are they having side effects? If so, can you talk to the doctor prescribing about that? Of course, behavioral issues, depression, anxiety, alcohol, post-traumatic stress disorder, and then lifestyle. Obesity is a major problem globally tied to a diet high in fats and sugar, low in vegetables and healthier foods. Physical activity, we're increasingly spending more time at our desktop at work. We're spending more time watching our screens, watching our Netflix shows, or watching our Facebook accounts, less time being physically active. So these are the kind of roles and duties a social worker would have practicing integrated healthcare. And again, I know in the United States, the social worker would be in the primary care clinic, but you could also be a social worker in a village, talking to patients in their home, doing integrated healthcare. It doesn't matter what setting you're in. It's more about your mindset in terms of being focused on the whole person, their physical health and their mental health. That's integrated healthcare. There are a couple of models of integrated healthcare that are very popular. One is called the primary care behavioral health model. This means a social worker or a psychologist is part of the medical team working in the hospital or primary care clinic. The physician will literally take the patient and say, please see my social worker down the hall, might even walk the patient to the hall, introduce them to the social worker, and have the social worker begin doing their assessment. The approaches are brief interventions, typically 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 interventions total. It's not long-term therapy, it's more short-term therapy. It's often done in group education format, teaching patients skills, coping with depression, how to stop smoking, how to increase your physical activity and lose weight. So it's very practical, and it's very focused on the immediate patient needs to improve their physical and mental health. Another model that's a little more complicated is called the collaborative care model. This is also very common and probably the most researched model. Basically, the social worker is also part of the medical team, but they're really playing a role to outreach patients who are having certain problems. They might do phone calls to patients who have diagnosed with depression and have obesity or diabetes. They'll try to engage the patient, offer health coaching, help them improve their depression. They'll track their progress over time, what's called a patient registry, a database of patient names to follow and keep track of. It's a long-term approach because we know for chronic conditions, both physical conditions and mental health conditions, they don't change quickly. Have you tried to ever change your diet? Have you tried to stop a bad habit like not exercising or tobacco use or too much alcohol? It's hard to change our habits. It takes a long time. It takes typically months of effort before you can successfully overcome and change a habit and have a more healthy habit in its place. It's about team-based care, having the social worker work with the physician, the nurse, specialist, the family, of course, the patient. They're really a consultant. The social worker often will offer educational and consulting services to the physicians, talking about what is depression, how do you treat it, how do we help patients improve their physical activity and diet so they can lose weight, how do we help patients stop smoking. These are all things a social worker be trained to do and work with the family physician to offer them a great service. You know, we know physicians and nurses often look down upon social workers as not being equal professionals with them. We find in the United States that's often the case too. A physician might think, well, I'll take the social worker as an intern. I'm not sure how they're going to help me. I have a busy medical practice. I have many patients needing medical care. And after a few months, the social worker offering help for these patients on stopping smoking, losing weight, managing depression, the doctor suddenly recognizes the value of the social worker. It's a way of increasing your value in the healthcare system. Now, again, I'm not familiar in detail. I look forward to you teaching me about social work in Peru and South America. But I know other parts of the world where I work, there are social workers certainly available, often doing community-based work, sometimes working in the hospital, doing hospital work. And that the more we can find social workers willing to take on this new role, the better. And there's a great need to train social workers in these models of integrated healthcare. And that's been my focus for the last 15 years, doing training for social workers first in China, then Southeast Asia, more recently in India and Bangladesh. And I want to talk about some of the adaptations to do practical training to make sure the information I'm providing to social workers is realistic. They can learn the information. So I don't try and do complex, long academic training. My training is very practical. I use the phrase learn today, practice tomorrow. Here are some of the competencies I see social workers needing to do integrated healthcare. They must, of course, know about the models, the role of the physician and the nurse, how to conduct a health risk assessment, how to use patient engagement techniques. One is called the 5 A's. I'll cover that today. How to motivate patients with motivational interviewing, how to use brief interventions for psychological problems like depression, how to use new habit change interventions for unhealthy lifestyle habits. And the good news is there's great resources available. There are strategy techniques that have been proven effective that can be used by social workers with very little training in psychotherapy. One of my colleagues in Vietnam is training community health workers, lay people in their villages to do behavior activation, an approach for depression, and finds they do a fantastic job. She's done research showing depression improves with a lay person that learns about depression and offers this treatment protocol. So I'm very optimistic. These are things social workers can learn without too much difficulty. It takes more intention and persistence and effort, not anything that they can't master given their professional role. So first of all, health risk assessment. Maybe if you go to your doctor for a checkup, you might get a questionnaire where it asks you questions about your sleep, your diet, your physical activity, maybe about your mood, your depression, physical symptoms, aches and pains. That's the health risk assessment. And they have them now. They cover very briefly, maybe about 25, 30 questions about, you can get information about 12 different problems. Some of them more lifestyle, diet, exercise, sleep, some more psychological depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. Others more physical symptoms. And of course, your health status medically. Do you have elevated blood pressure? Do you have elevated blood sugar? A health risk assessment is a way of quickly finding out what kind of problem does the patient have. Especially with aging, we're facing the problem of multimorbidities. Patients often have multiple problems. An older patient might present to you with type 2 diabetes, being overweight, having excess lipid levels, high lipids, being depressed, tobacco smoking, or using alcohol harmfully. Multiple problems. Where do you start? By doing a health risk assessment, you get a quick idea about the kind of problems the patient has. You can then talk to the patient where to start, which problem to start with first. For patient engagement, I use an approach that's been widely used globally called the 5 A's. That stands for assess. Maybe you give out the health risk assessment first of all, do an interview diagnosis assessment. advise, give the patient advice. My problem list shows you have depression and obesity and maybe alcohol use. Here's some common treatments we can offer you for those problems. Next is a new key step, agree. You come to agreement with the patient where to start. If you tell the patient you have problems with smoking, obesity, and diabetes, where do you want to start? The patient might say, well, I've been trying to stop smoking, let's start there. Wherever the patient wants to start, that's the place to start because that's where they're most motivated. Then we assist and arrange for the treatment plan and follow-up visits to make sure they can work on the plan identified with you. We use motivational interviewing, a technique to increase motivation to change. And then we use the stage of change model called the trans-theoretical stage of change model to see where the patient is. Are they ready for change? Not ready for change? Are they already engaged in change? Here's a quick summary of the 5 A's. I'm not going to cover it in detail. My time is not sufficient, but basically you give the patient advice after you do the assessment. You come to agreement, work on a treatment plan, then arrange for follow-up. This model is great for helping the patient and clinician be on the same page and agreement on the kind of problems, on the same page for a plan, and a plan to follow up to make sure the patient can take the effort to work on that plan over time. I've chosen brief psychological interventions in my work globally based on those that I think are the best fit for the skill level of social workers, for example, where there's not much training for social workers on psychological interventions or lifestyle counseling. So I chose these topics here: motivational interviewing, behavior activation for depression, problem-solving therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and mindfulness-based interventions. I'll give you examples of a few of these right now. I'm also going to talk about habit change interventions. There have been some fantastic recent publications and research on new approaches to habit change that are very easy to follow. They're not complicated. And they involve how do you improve nutrition, how do you improve physical activity, reduce tobacco smoking, reduce people that are doing too much gaming or screen time. So the good news is there are new approaches. Now, habit change is still very difficult. I don't like you to misinterpret my words, but we have newer techniques I'll summarize today that are much more intuitive, easy to follow for patients and for clinicians. Here's some examples. I'll give examples of behavior activation and mindfulness. So behavior activation, some quick sayings here. Plato, the great philosopher, lack of activity destroys the good condition of every human being, while movement and methodical physical exercise save it and preserve it. The Chinese proverb, be not afraid of growing slowly, only be afraid of standing still. Movement is medicine for creating change in a person's physical, emotional, mental states. So movement. We know physical activity is good for mental health and, of course, good for physical health. Behavior activation is a brief approach to improve depression, also used for other kind of problems like anxiety, for example, that can be done briefly in anywhere from 3 to 5 sessions. They can be individual sessions, group sessions, online. And you're having the clinician ask the patient to increase their activity levels, to help them do more every day. Because when you're depressed, you often withdraw. You just want to stay in bed, watch TV, not do anything. You lose interest in things you used to do to enjoy, like talking to friends, going out and doing things. So with depression, you lose interest in being active. With behavior activation, we're going to try to boost their activity because we find if you become more active, that by itself will reduce depression for most people. So the theory behind behavior activation is that our mind and our mood are related. When the patient is depressed, they withdraw, avoid things. They cope by withdrawing because they don't feel like interacting. They're just feeling down and sad and having no motivation. They stop doing things they used to do and enjoying, like going out, maybe walking, visiting their neighbors and friends. They might even engage by looking at unhealthy behaviors to relieve their depression, like alcohol, smoking, unhealthy food. And we know from research, if you increase physical activity, any kind of activity, social activities, that can break this vicious cycle. The vicious cycle is I'm depressed, I avoid, become withdrawn, I get more depressed, I get more withdrawn. By adding more activity level, we can break that cycle. And if the patient begins doing more, their mood will improve. Their mood will follow their activity and their action. That's the theory behind the behavior activation model. You begin by keeping a daily record, having the patient write down what they're doing every day, hour by hour. Have them do it weekly for 1 week and come back and review that with you. Next, you have them go over their life values. What kind of things are important to them in terms of relationships, their career, their role in the home, recreation, hobbies, mind, body, spirituality, daily responsibilities as homemaker, worker, taking care of an adult parent or child. You find out what kind of things are important to them because you want to try and have them create activities that are close to their values that are important to them. The more they're close to their values, the more important it is, the more they're likely to be motivated to try these things and get back into them. And you have them simply rank the activities they picked from the most to least difficult. And you start with the ones that are least difficult first. Well, I can walk up and down my stairs in my apartment. I can do that for 5 minutes. Great. We'll start there. Not trying to walk 5,000, 10,000 steps. Let's try and walk them down your stairs. Take a small goal that's realistic. And give them a sense of things to work on to begin increasing their activity based on what they think they can do. Had the patient go home between sessions, begin working on, in a calendar, keeping track of their daily activities, adding to their calendar, I'm going to take a 5-minute walk in the morning. I'm going to visit my neighbors and chat at lunchtime. I'm going to go with my colleagues after work and take a walk. You try and be realistic, plan things that fit their schedule. If they don't complete it one day, try and go back the next day and do it. So it's a way of using a calendar to simply plan activities and try to do them. And they're rating their mood the whole time. So that when they first do a baseline, they might rate sitting in bed, watching TV. How's your mood in that hour? Oh, it's a 2 or 3 out of 10, very low, very depressed. Then they find out if they go out and go visit their neighbor next door, go out and go to the local park for a walk with their spouse or friend, their mood is suddenly rated 6 or 7. They begin to see, oh, if I do more, I feel better. They can become convinced just from their own experience this is a helpful approach. And last of all, they try and find somebody in their social environment to help them, their spouse, their partner, a friend, a coworker who can help to sign a contract to work with them, to help nudge them to do these things and become more active. So that's how behavioral activation works. It's evidence-based. It's been proven effective. It's as effective as cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is excellent, but it takes a long time. 8, 12 sessions. It's more complicated. Behavior activation was developed as a component of cognitive therapy, and now it's actually a standalone because it's shorter, faster, and as effective as CBT, as effective as antidepressant medication for depression. So it's evidence-based, easy to teach, easy to learn for social workers, and what I widely have them use in my work. Next, I'll cover mindfulness. I'm not sure how many of you do meditation. Mindfulness is a kind of meditation that was developed by a psychologist in the United States named Jon Kabat-Zinn. It's taking mindfulness approaches from Buddhism, but it's not Buddhist practice. It's a secular practice using mindfulness meditation principles to help people become more aware of how their body responds to stress and what kind of emotions and thoughts cause them distress, and give them the skills to better observe their emotions and thoughts that are causing distress and find ways to cope with them more effectively. So it's really a short-term approach, takes 6 to 8 sessions, to use mindfulness meditation approaches to teach people how to better recognize in themselves their physical stress, their mental stress, their emotional stress. And once they recognize that without reacting to it, they can start making ways to change that using mindfulness meditation practice. So there are many kinds of meditation. I like all of them. I prescribe all of them, but mindfulness is very structured and very specific. It's defined as being aware by paying attention in a sustained and particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. You don't judge what you're thinking. I've been practicing mindfulness almost daily since 2016. I find it very helpful in my life to manage my own emotional, psychological issues. It's a self-help tool. I've gotten training and mentoring from other professionals on mindfulness practice. So it's widely available and also evidence-based. So mindfulness, why do we need mindfulness? As human beings, we tend to avoid unpleasant emotions, unpleasant thoughts. We don't want to feel bad. And we often find that when we have these thoughts pop into our head, they're about things in the future. I'm worried about this job task tomorrow. I'm worried about this test I have tomorrow. I'm worried about my bills being due next week and have not enough money to pay for them. Or like we're thinking about things in the past that happened already. I wish I had not let that person push me out of the way in the line. I wish that person hadn't argued with me and maybe a bad outcome. We often think about things in the past or future that make us worried, upset. And mindfulness is about being in the present moment to recognize what's happening right now and better understand the emotions and thoughts we have and how to better cope with them. We often use avoidance of the negative emotions and thoughts by engaging in unhealthy behaviors. I feel depressed. I'm going to binge on Netflix and watch my favorite show for the next 3 hours. I'm going to have some nice chocolate cake or fried food for a snack because I feel depressed and I'll feel better if I have that. I'm going to smoke a cigarette to feel relief of stress. I'm going to have a glass of alcohol. We often look for things that are unhealthy to help relieve depression and depressive thoughts. We are avoiding things, and mindfulness helps us to be in the present moment, accept these thoughts and feelings without being judgmental, without reacting to them, and then finding ways to cope with them. So the solution for practice is to focus on the present moment, learn how our body responds to stress by doing things like breathing exercises, a body scan of all of our body sensations, observing our emotions and thoughts as they come into our head during mindful practice. The typical session is 8 sessions of mindfulness, or 6 to 8. Each one has a very specific skill being taught. It can be done individually, in group, online. Typical session, the clinician will welcome the patient, I'll talk about the theme for the week. They'll do practice of mindfulness in the session. They typically take 5 to 10 minutes. They're not lengthy. There'll be a group discussion about people's experiences to mindfulness, maybe some more practice, some more discussion, and then homework assignment. Each session introduces a new type of mindfulness practice and give the assignment for the next week for homework. Go home and practice that once a day and come back for the next session. The first session is about the breath, using the breath as an anchor, meaning it's an anchor to the present moment. If you stop now, just take a deep breath and think about it. Focus on the breath, the sensation going up in your nose, into your chest and your diaphragm. Exhaling. Focusing on that breath brings you to the present moment. That's one of the key initial basic skills of mindfulness. The breath is always there. It's free. It's accessible. It connects your mind and your body. Then we go to other kind of mindfulness techniques and practices. These are some of the examples of the kind of sessions and the things we talk about. We do the body scan, where you talk about learning how to scan your body from toes to your head to understand sensations and especially stress in your body. We all experience stress in different ways. Some people clench their teeth. Some people get a tight stomach. Some get headaches. Some get tight neck or back. We have different ways of experiencing stress. We aren't often aware of that. So we learn from mindfulness, what are our ways of responding to stress physically, become more aware of that, and use mindfulness to relieve that stress. I'm going to cover next habit change. So again, if you ever tried to change your habits, there are some great new approaches being promoted. There's a book called Atomic Habits by the author James Clear that's sold millions of copies globally. And basically, it's looking at a habit. What is a habit? It's an acquired mode of behavior that's become involuntary, something we do over and over again. So for example, in the morning, maybe you wake up and you make your coffee or tea. Maybe you make a certain breakfast every morning. Maybe you, after breakfast, brush your teeth or wash up. You do these things every day the same way. You don't think about them. You don't think, I'm going to make the coffee. Now I'm going to put the water into the coffee or teapot. I'm going to turn the heat on. You don't think about this. You just do it automatically, involuntary from habit. That's a habit. You do something so often, it becomes something you do without thinking about it. And that's a good thing. If we have habits, we don't have to think about things. We just do them. You get in your car or scooter to drive to work, you don't think about how to drive a car. You know from habit how to do it, and you take the unconscious steps to follow that habit and execute it daily. We can use the science of habit change to develop new habits. We have a habit loop is the key. Habit loop describes how habits are started, initiated, and maintained, as well as how to change a habit. So the habit loop includes, number one, a cue, a craving, something causes us to want something. In response to that, we execute a habit or a routine. We do something, and it's rewarding. So this is how habits are formed. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're walking down the street, going to work, coming home from work, and you walk past a food stand, a little cart on your way home. and you smell the wonderful fried food in the stand. It smells good. You glance over, it looks so good. This is a photo of a food truck in Thailand where I've traveled. It just looks so good. You have to try a bite. You have to go ahead and buy some. So one day you buy it, so delicious, feels good, even though we know having too much fried food is not healthy, right? Too much salt. Next day walking past, I think I'm going to try it again, just this one time today. And someday every day you're walking past that stand, buying something every day, maybe even buying 2 or 3 pieces because it's so delicious. That's how habits are formed. Any kind of a cue will alert us to a demand, a need for something, and we follow up on the need with our habit, and it's rewarding. The cue, our response, and a reward. That's the basis of how habits are formed. So we use that to make the science of how to start a new healthy habit. First, pick a small routine, something tiny. I'll meditate for 5 minutes. I'll eat 1 healthy fruit or vegetable during lunch today. Set a reminder. Try and do it the same time every day. Every morning, I'm going to practice mindfulness meditation for 8 minutes. Put it in your calendar for a reminder. Maybe you can tie it to an existing habit. After I have my morning tea, I'll do a 10-minute meditation every day. You want to make this new routine, this new habit, something you repeat every day at the same time and place, ideally, because that's how habits are formed, by repetition. The more you do something the same way, the same time every day, over time it becomes automatic. You don't even think about it, you just do it. That's the key for habit change. We take steps to practice habits, make them routine until they become unconscious, automatic habits in our life. That's how we add a new healthy habit. You can use a little worksheet for this. Identify the current habit you want to add, make a calendar, and create a habit intention. I will have a piece of fruit for my lunch every day. At lunchtime, in my office, in my home, with my coworker, with my spouse. Make a detailed list of what you're going to be doing, and then try and put it in your calendar and make reminders. You can even use your phone for a reminder, give yourself an alert to do a new habit. So to me, this is a very simple way of adding new healthy habits. Old ways of doing habit change were very difficult, complex. Patients often give up. This is the simple way. It's evidence-based. There's emerging research on this as effective. So here's simply an example of a 4-session approach to doing habit change. Explain the habit loop to the patient, have them decide on a new habit they want to add, give them homework to go ahead and do the habit change intention, have them come back a week later, look at their progress, maybe introduce habit stacking, and repeat until they become automatic behaviors. That's how you add a new healthy habit. Replacing an existing bad habit is more difficult. Unhealthy habits more difficult. Let's say if my habit is I have an argument with my spouse, and I respond by withdrawing and having alcohol to calm myself down. The alcohol is effective. It removes the conflict. I'm no longer fighting with my spouse. I feel relaxed from the alcohol. But we know it's not an effective way of coping. It's a short-term way, and with abuse, it can even become another part of the problem you're dealing with. So to find a new habit, we have to replace the alcohol and find something else that's rewarding. So I might say, let's use mindfulness. I'm not here with my spouse. I'll withdraw. That's okay. I need a break. And I'll practice mindfulness for 5 minutes. That's a healthier way to find a way to relax from the argument, to focus on the moment. It's rewarding. I feel relaxed. I go back to my spouse and talk some more. Here's an example of replacing an unhealthy habit, alcohol, with a healthy habit, mindfulness. This is how you replace an unhealthy habit. You got to find a new habit that can replace it, because the cue is not going to go away. You're still going to have an argument with your spouse. You're still going to see that food stand with the wonderful food. You've got to find a way to replace the bad habit with something that's more healthy and positive. So I developed an online training program the last 2 years. I had a small grant. I developed a curriculum for social workers in University of Labor and Social Affairs in Hanoi, Vietnam. We developed the course there. I did training with that course with colleagues in social work universities in India and Pakistan and Vietnam. So we have an online program. Right now it's being moved to an online asynchronous platform. You can take it on your own without instructor help. Typically each session is 90 minutes of work in terms of watching a video, doing some reading, doing practice, doing some role play with a colleague. It's on Google Classroom, uses WhatsApp as a way to have text chat with each other and with the group leader. There's a competency scale, integrate healthcare competency, that you'll take before and after the course to measure your learning. So it's a very accountable learning environment with satisfaction surveys you complete to make sure you're satisfied with the presenter, with the content. It involves practice. You get better. Without practice, you're not going to learn something. The content I just covered with you now, I made the core content. I have 8 different modules in my first course, Integrated Healthcare. They're right here. I just covered these already. And to give you the skills to do each one of these activities. The training includes didactic learning, watching webinars, reading assignments, discussion with your colleagues taking the course, using WhatsApp for question and answer with each other, doing practicing doing a PHQ-9 for depression, practice doing the 5 A's with patients or with your colleagues. You have responsibilities to view the webinars, to complete assignments, to be active in discussion, and learn by doing. If you don't try things and practice things, you're not going to learn. So this is a very hands-on, active course. It's not academic. It's not about reading and doing research. It's about learning and practicing new skills. Now, of course, there are barriers to integrate healthcare. Certainly globally, I know in Southeast Asia and South Asia, my guess is also in Peru and South America, there's a lack of government resources and funding for social workers to work in hospitals and primary care healthcare clinics. There's a challenge of how do you find a role for social workers to do this in the healthcare system. They're not respected oftentimes by physicians and nurses, by healthcare leaders. Find recognition for social workers is critical. We need to assess the current competencies for social workers for integrated healthcare, offer training to improve their competencies. Those are all barriers. Facilitators, things that are helping us to promote social work, we know that the social work basic education is well matched. You already learned in social work, or the values of social work are patient-centered care, advocacy, involving the family. Those are all things that are critical for integrated healthcare also. We know that healthcare leaders across the globe, Ministry of Health, for example, recognize the need to address health behavior change to improve diabetes and hypertension, for example. Healthcare costs are increasing for medical care. That's not a good thing for economies. They want to try and reduce healthcare costs. So we know from research, when you integrate healthcare, can help reduce costs by reducing the need for expensive medications, reduce the need for hospitalizations and visits to the emergency room. We need local champions like my colleague Habib, my colleagues in Vietnam and Southeast Asia to try and help train social workers on these new approaches. And we need to have stakeholders in hospitals and primary care also wanting to accept social workers to practice and try these new techniques out with patients. So in summary, I'll say that we have a global epidemic of non-communicable diseases, of psychological distress, unhealthy lifestyle problems, all increasing. Our physicians and nurses are only trained in medication, which is helpful, but not sufficient. If you have type 2 diabetes and you're still drinking too much alcohol and you're overweight, eating unhealthy foods, your diabetes will get worse in spite of taking medication. Without behavior change, we cannot help people improve their life. We have to have these kind of techniques to prevent disease in the first place. If you can prevent obesity and unhealthy diets, you can prevent diabetes from even starting in the first place. You know, some great recent research by a company in the United States called Virta, people with type 2 diabetes go through diet change. They reverse their type 2 diabetes, become non-diabetic from lifestyle change. It's not easy, but the fact is it's evidence-based. We know we can change health behaviors and prevent or reduce or even reverse many chronic diseases. And in my view, social workers are ideally suited. I've trained social workers first in China, then in Vietnam, then, you know, Thailand, Cambodia, now India, Pakistan, and soon Africa. So I'm happy to share these resources with any of you, happy to try and connect with you in Peru or South America or other parts of the world and share resources. My goal is to broaden global integrated healthcare. And with that, I will stop with some extra time here and be happy to take any questions. Thank you all for your attention and your willingness to stay with me on this conversation. Hopefully it's helpful. And that ends my presentation for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ronald, for being here, for your participation. and it's a very important subject for us. Where we are here in Peru and in Latin America, no, we don't have the special course of clinical social work in our universities, and even in my country, we don't have a master's still, but we have options, no, in Puerto Rico, in Spain, in other countries, no,
That's exactly right. That's right. I mean, for example, I always practice cultural humility. So this is my first time talking to a clinician from Peru. So I would want to learn from you, what is the culture there in terms of health behaviors, depression, lifestyle? I need to learn from you first. And then what is the workforce? If there are no social workers available, can we use community health workers? Can we train people in the community? Can we train existing nurses or physicians? So I always look for the entry point, where to start, being very practical, but also being very humble. I need to learn from you to have any benefit and help in your country and in your work you're doing.
We have a big statistics in mental health, and we have a specialists in even psychologists. No, we don't have so much people who are psychologists or social workers who specialize in these subjects as mental health. Even people work in institutions, but they still don't know how is the methodology or the procedure, how to act.
That's exactly right. You know, on the one hand, medical providers like doctors and nurses don't have training in mental health. And mental health providers don't have training in how to help medical problems. And the good news is, if you're trained in psychotherapy and you can do cognitive behavioral therapy for depression, it's not difficult to learn how to do behavior activation, how to do habit change interventions. It's very similar approaches. They're easy to learn, but then you have to raise awareness for psychologists and social workers. My patients with depression probably have problems with overweight, with poor lifestyle, with stress. I can offer more than just psychotherapy. I can offer health coaching. That's the hope I have globally. We can have more and more professionals on medical and mental health side learning about whole person holistic care to better improve our patients' physical and mental health. They go together. You can't take them apart.
Yeah, I see. And in your country, well, most of the social workers are clinical social workers, isn't it? And when you finish the career, no, in the United States, you have to study a course for being clinical social work, or just you leave the university being social work?
I mean, the social work education.
Clinical social work, sorry.
There are social work degrees. Habib can talk about that. You know, bachelor's, a master's, even doctoral social work. And if that workforce is available, yes, you can learn these techniques as part of your training and practice. If you haven't got that available in your country, then certainly you can train other healthcare professionals, emerging, healthcare leaders and clinicians or community health workers on these techniques. The good news is they're not difficult to learn. I've seen my colleagues in Vietnam train thousands of lay people living in their community, their small villages, to become health coaches and improve depression, improve diabetes. So it's not easy in terms of making these steps to happen, but it's proven effective. It's proven it can be done. It just takes the right champion like you and the right effort and team to do so.
Okay. However, I think that you have a comment for Dr. Ronald.
Yes, always I have good comments for him. He's the very smartest professor in social work, and he's a great inspiration for my life, for my other colleagues and my volunteers in Bangladesh. Because Dr. Ronald, he is a very close friend of mine. He is the advisor. He is the advisor of editorial board of our International Community Talks newsletter, and the best comment for him is a professor of social work who I found 24/7. When I need him, I just send a text, and he has been inspiring me always. And he's a great leader for integrated healthcare. and we are working on integrated healthcare global perspective. He has a great focus long over years in Asian countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Hong Kong, China, Bangladesh, right? And recently, we have been thinking for a collaboration research on integrated healthcare, focus on patients, care, and training for the social worker, inclusion in integrated healthcare. That would be the new dimension for Bangladesh. So it's my immense pleasure with this platform when I just see Dr. Ronald's face on the poster. Actually, it gave me excitement that we must be
You got
meeting here
surprised.
online. Yeah, of course. Because Carolina, you didn't tell us, but when I see the poster that Ronald is there, that was great.
He
meeting
knew.
him.
He knew. When we were coordinating, he said, "Oh, I know my friend Avivor." Oh, yeah, really? But I didn't say anything until just
Yes, you were very successful, Carolina, really. You can manage him to, he is too busy person really in research work or social work. So we are eagerly waiting to see him in person. Though I met him last year in USA, Dr. Ronald's conference on integrated healthcare. That was a big journey for me, and that was a great experience of meeting him. And one thing I should announce here, Dr. Ronald will be the keynote speaker in our next Congress hosted in Bangladesh by CSWPD Foundation on 14th of November to 16th. So Ronald will be joining us as keynote speaker on 14th morning, Bangladesh time. And we are eagerly waiting to see him in person with my volunteer team and my colleagues next year or late this year so far. We're just in
I look forward.
yeah.
Well, thank you for the
it's
kind
coming
words.
soon.
We've been very grateful for those kind words. Thank you. And thank you for being my teacher and learning about healthcare in Bangladesh and Pakistan. Thank you.
And I should add a few comments with Dr. Ronald. Actually, I was some cases missing his talks because we are preparing on conference preparation, but it was actually loud speaking. I was just listening, moving around and listening in my office. But the thing is, the secret is he always follows healthy lifestyle. Actually, that he focused on his presentation to live longer, and that expressed in his face and appearance. When I met him in USA, he is such a man. He counts every seconds to produce good articles, good thoughts in academia, and also nourish a good healthy lifestyle that we should follow. Really, I'm just telling you that I found him there in that time. Thank you, Ronald. Actually, you are a great inspiration in my life. So,
Thank you,
so
Steve.
far, I think in
I'm
academic
very grateful to hear
world.
that. It feels very good to hear
Thank you.
that. And same to you.
Thank you.
You motivate me to help the people of Bangladesh to
Thank
improve
you
their
so
health.
much.
Thank you, Avivor, for your words, for your comments, and really we appreciate Dr. Ronald, all your speech of today, and we will follow your suggestion. No? I need a lot of this to know about the food also.
It's great to meet you also. Thank you for inviting me. It's wonderful meeting you. Hope we can talk again sometime soon.
Okay. Well, Dr. Ronald, what will be your finally word for the audience who is watching you and will watch you later, no, for the
Just thanks for the opportunity. I hope to learn more about Peru and South America, and many other colleagues on this call I saw from India, other parts of the world. So I look forward to my ongoing global collaboration and trying to make more contacts. If you watch this video recording and want to contact me, use my email and please reach out to me. Happy to talk to you and schedule a time to chat on Zoom or WhatsApp. But thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you all well in your own careers and your own championing of social work. I will say the last comment, by way of humor, I'm a psychologist, but I love social work, and so much so my wife is a social worker, so dedicated to their career and profession.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Ronald.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, all.
Thank you, Dr. Avivor. Now it's
Thank
time
you.
But don't leave, don't leave because we don't finish. We still have one friend more. Now it's
Carolina,
time.
I might leave, but I will listen to
Oh no, yes.
you,
O sea, yeah.
you
I
too,
know.
right?
I'm not sorry.
And our friend Anish Kar is there, so I will of course be listening him, right?
Yes.
So and you too.
Sí,
Thank you.
Yes. Okay,
Thank
it's time to present Dr. Anish. Are you there? Okay. ¿Cómo está? I cannot hear you. I can't hear you. Now, yes.
I think you can hear me now.
Okay. Okay, now
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And Dr. Anish is an associate professor and a registered mental health professional with 25 years of experience. He has served as head of the Department of Social Work at Rajagiri College and Marian College, Katikanam, chairman of the Board of Studies Social Work of Mahatma Gandhi University, Kannur University, and Rajagiri College of Social Science, a member of POS of Sri Sankaracharya University and 7 autonomous colleges. His areas of interest are intercultural competence, social work education, mental health intervention, migration, innovation in pedagogical approach in higher education. He's a research guide with Mahatma Gandhi University, and we are very happy, and it is an honor to have Dr. Anish as one of our speakers in this Congress. Thank you so much. Doctor, ahí está. Here we go.
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
First of all, I should thank you for this opportunity to be with you. And this is my first exposure to Peru. And really happy to associate with you. And this probably will open our new avenues of collaboration.
People are seeing not only in Peru and in Latin America and in different countries.
Yes. That's wonderful. So this conference is a unique initiative where we have opportunity to listen to various speakers from various parts of the world. And I could listen to some of the earlier speeches, which talks clearly about how the future of social work and social welfare and the well-being of people. So I was, whenever I thought about talking about future of social work or future of human welfare, we need to be more evidence-based, because across the world, social work as a profession has gained its importance. But we always complain whether we have received the adequate response for our profession. So I am very keen to talk about how we can create evidences in social work, and also how we can integrate that to health and mental health. So I will be briefly talking about how we can integrate randomized controlled trials in mental health and health interventions, so that we create evidences which are looked upon by people as something which is credible. So how we build credibility for our own profession. Let me share my screen and start the presentation. As I have no audience in front of me, I'm not going to ask you what will be our goal, but this will be the topic of presentation today. I'll speak about bringing evidence to practice, the role of RCTs in health and mental health social work, from my own experiences and also guiding my students in the field of RCTs. Now, in this session, I will be speaking about what is RCT and how we can design an RCT, and what are the various methodological considerations we will be considering while designing an RCT, and also examples of some of the RCTs I have done and my students have done. Now, at the end of this session, these are the learning outcomes I envisage. We need to reflect on the concept, prospects, and challenges of the methodology of randomized controlled trials in social work practice. Demonstrate a basic idea of designing a randomized controlled trial, how we can do that, and also enlist methodological consideration of RCTs. Let us deep dive into the topic of RCT today. Before I go into the topic, I thought how important is research in social work? This statement, the court says, if we are serious about developing social work as a profession and having practitioners able to practice safely and innovatively, then we need to both develop and use evidence to inform our practice. Evidences need to inform our practice. We are not just going to be common sense interventionists. We are also always concerned about the competency social workers need to develop. Within the competency framework of the Council for Social Work Education, we have always seen this very important competency frame, which talks about engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. So when we talk about engage in practice-informed research, we have to evolve researchers from our own practices. And we also need to do practice based on research evidences, so that our profession become a credible, trustworthy profession. So a lot of research or reviews of literature in social work has happened. This talks about the development of research resources in social work lagged far behind the growth of the profession and has failed to meet this bit older, but still it is relevant. Meet the needs of practitioners who must work in increasingly specialized and complex areas of practice. Now the question is, why do we do research? We always have been talking about various dimensions of research. I have considered 5 E's for the research. The first one is about exploration. Now we know that there are so many phenomena which we have less understanding about. So those phenomena need to be explored further. So for that, we do exploration. We also need to elaborate what we already know. We have some understanding about some phenomena, some processes, some cultural changes. We have to elaborate that. And the third one is we also need to establish relationship between different variables, or what causes what and how things are caused. That explanation needs to be done. So explanatory researches are being done. Now we also need to evaluate the outcomes of research, outcomes of interventions we have been doing, evaluation research. And also researchers are meant for creating evidences. So these are the 5 E's I consider when we talk about research. Now we are all familiar with various types of methodologies, the various designs. So we know that we have to focus on survey researchers, qualitative researchers, experimental researchers, and observational researchers. But we know that for social work, the future is experimental researchers and I would say qualitative researchers. We have done enough surveys. We've done enough descriptive studies. Observational studies, definitely we can do. Cohort studies, cross-sectional studies, and case control studies we need to do. But I have a specific interest in more focusing on qualitative as well as experimental designs, in that specifically on randomized control trials. Now, what are your thoughts about RCT? So I would like to share a research story one of my students has gone through. I had a research scholar, a doctoral student, who had come to me. She has been working in the field of health for a while, and she was concerned about people who are undergoing dialysis treatment, who are in the end stage renal disease. And she wanted to see how effective, or is there a need for intervening psychosocially or a social work intervention in the context of end stage renal disease. Most often, the focus is on medical treatment of these people with renal disease, and we have given less importance to the interventions. And often, social work interventions are looked upon as relevant or less relevant or not at all required. So my student wanted to show that it needs to be done, and to show the people that this is possible, that we can enhance the quality of life of people who are undergoing treatment for renal diseases or they are in the terminal stages of their renal disease. So that was what she wanted to prove. In order to prove that, she actually wanted to understand what are the issues faced by children, these people. So the first step to start with this intervention was to understand what are the psychosocial needs of people who are undergoing end-stage renal disease. Next, she also wanted to understand what are the possible interventions available for those who are undergoing end-stage renal disease interventions. And also need to understand what do social workers think about those things, and the primary stakeholders think about it. Focus group discussions were done with people who are undergoing dialysis treatment. Expert interviews were done. So based on that, these are some of the articles published out of those discussions for those studies. So basically, those articles all coming from something about a scoping review, talk about what are the interventions available for end-stage renal disease, some understanding about perceptions about experience of living with a chronic illness. All those things have been studied. And based on that, a theoretical model was developed. Based on the model, interventions was given. And when interventions were thought about, she started thinking, should I be doing a quasi-experimental design or a true experimental design? So in a quasi-experimental design, we know that the rigor is little less, or else we will not be able to clearly say whether our intervention has helped, or is the test effect helped, or is it because of some other interventions happened during the phase of the intervention. So coming to that context, we thought of having a control group to come in, so that we will have a randomized control trial, so that it becomes a true experiment, so that the results can be explained to society as an important intervention. Now, coming to the RCT, RCT is considered to be the gold standard in research. So we know that the study sample has to be put into the intervention group as well as the control group, and the outcome need to be measured, and the follow-up assessment need to be done. Based on that, we'll come to conclusions whether our intervention has been effective for the control group. But many often, when we have people who are willing to come for this intervention, and we randomize them into intervention group or the control group. So sometimes some people, those who have been willing to take up this intervention, will not get the intervention because we have kept them into control group. In those contexts, we consider them as our waitlisted group rather than just a control, so that they will get the intervention, but after we complete the assessment of the pre and post assessment of the intervention group, so that we will be able to establish the relation between intervention, getting intervention or not getting intervention. Now, I was curious to know about how much RCTs have been done in social work, but this was only in the context of India. I just tried to understand randomized control trial. So I just went to the Scopus database and tried to search for literature on randomized control trial. You can see that, and social work. And the results ended up with, you can see, just 4 documents. That means there's not been a lot of research happened in the field of randomized control trial in social work. So that was something, an eye-opener for me, that we should be doing more and more of randomized control trial. These are studies which have come up in those things. So some of those in the Scopus database. And this is a very specific database because I wanted to look at quality articles. That's why I looked into the Scopus database. Now the question is why we should be doing RCT in social work. So basically, we know that social work is a practice profession. So the practice evidence has been created. We also need to understand there is a need for a least bias oriented. Basically, RCT research generates the least possible bias estimates of effectiveness of social work interventions. And this can build credibility for our profession, as well as we can also practice based on research information, or research informed practice is very important. Now, when you look at the hierarchy of evidences for literature, we know that the lowest hierarchy starts from basic discussion or opinion of people with regard to some interventions. But the highest hierarchy is always an RCT and systematic review of RCTs or meta-analysis of RCTs. That's the highest evidences. So we want to do something of a higher evidence so that our research our interventions can be proved to be effective, so that our credibility of profession also increases, and we can also practice from evidence base. So now, how are we going to develop this intervention? So now the question of whether we need to do a quasi-experimental or an RCT. Many often people doubt this basic idea that whether we will be able to do a full true experiment, rather they compromise to a quasi-experimental designs. But there's a possibility that we can go for a uh, pure experimental design or a randomized control intervention. Now, for going into RCT, we have to first design the intervention, recruit and screen people, randomize the recruited people into control and experimental group. Intervention has to be given. We need to do the follow-up and we need to do the analysis. Now, how do we design an intervention? That's a very key aspect of intervention because the rigor with which we develop the intervention is very, very important. Unless we have a research intervention developed properly, we cannot claim the RCT to be effective. So designing is having clear importance. So we use the PICO formula for understanding how to design the research question, formulate the research question for the RCT interventions. I'll be going to the another aspect is that RCT need to be safe. The intervention need to be safe. What is that? It need to be sequenced. It need to be active, focused, and explicit. So that creates good intervention. Now, I have just tried to put up some literature together to understand how do we work with an RCT. So basically, how to design an intervention. So we have an initiation session, but then design of the intervention, then validation of the intervention, and finalize intervention. There are a few steps in each of these stages. The first thing is that we may start with a personal clinical intuition that I have been working with a type of clientele, like my student did on ancient renal disease, or we have been working with a typical type of clientele, and we found that there is a need for creating evidence in this field. So your personal intuition can be leading for that. Or you have an expertise in a personal area of social work practice, you can do RCT for that, so that this can be established better. Then we also need to understand what are the evidence available for such interventions, or what are the gaps in such interventions. So those are the things we do in the beginning. Then you need to do an need assessment. So you need to talk to the real persons who are going to take up our RCT intervention, or the experts who are working in the field of that particular domain of expertise. And also we need to interact with the clients and allied people so that we understand clearly what is the need of intervention or what are the areas to be addressed in this intervention. Once that initiation is done, then we design. So first you have to formulate the research question and the outcome measures. What are you going to focus on? Are you going to focus on quality of life? Are you going to focus on level of functioning? Are you going to focus on mental health? Or are you going to focus on well-being? So outcome measures have to be developed first. Once that is done, you need to develop an intervention model or the theoretical framework on which you develop your intervention model, so that the model will be explained based on a existing literature as well as theoretical base. Then you need to design your mode of intervention, whether it is a simple intervention or a complex intervention. So simple interventions are something where you do a single intervention where you want to intervene with a particular dimension of the problem. But if you want to work on a holistic social work point of view, sometimes you may have to go beyond a single point of intervention. So then you have to develop interventions in a multi-level interventions. Then it will be called a complex intervention. We have to decide at this point of time. Once we develop the intervention module, because this module there should be a fidelity of the intervention. So to ensure that there should be a proper protocol, so that we follow the protocol across the same protocol with every client, so that the clients will be able to go through the same experience in every client, so that the outcome can be measured effectively. So once that is done, we need to develop the design. You have to get that vetted by experts, so that whether the particular intervention is going to be feasible, whether it's going to be valid. So we have to look at the validity and feasibility of this particular intervention. Then through expert vetting, we can do some pre-testing with some group of a clientele. Then we finalize a protocol. So once we finalize a protocol, we are able to work with the RCT intervention. So now intervention is scientifically developed through a process of exploration of understanding about various dimensions of the problem, various interventions already available in this particular field, the gaps in the interventions which is already existing, and also based on expert and real stakeholder interactions. From there, we need to focus on what we need to focus. Are we focusing on efficacy, effectiveness, or are we going to look at theory and systems? So as we know that efficacy, look at to what extent does the intervention develop the intended outcomes in external and ideal settings. To what extent this intervention produce the intended outcome in real world settings, that will be the effectiveness. So then we go into theory, because what works in which circumstance and how will explain the theory of aspect of it. And the systems will be how do the system and intervention adapt to the one another, whether we can adapt to this in other context. Replicability is a question. So now once that is done, we need to have a ethical committee clearance, because it's a human subject we are working with. We have to get the ethical clearance. So that once we get the ethical clearance, we can go for trial registration. From Indian context, we have the clinical trial registry of India. In that we can actually register our study protocol, which again goes through a stringent way of assessment and evaluation by the experts. After that, they give the registration for you. Once the registration is there, if in Indian context we use the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Researchers Clinical Trial Registry of India, or you can use International Clinical Trial Registry of platform by the WHO. All can be used for registering the trial, because once we are doing a scientific process, it has to be properly documented. It has to be scientifically driven. So for that, trial registration is important. This is a site of the ICMR trial registry, and they will ask you these questions. What is the site of the study? Whether you have got ethical approval? What is the condition of the health condition or problem studied? Intervention module prepared, whether or not? What are the inclusion exclusion criteria? And what are the method of generating random sequence? Method of concealment, that how you blinding and masking the participant. All these dimensions which are methodological relevant in the context of RCTs, this will be definitely asked in the context of registration. This is a example registration we obtained for one of our studies. So once that is done, we clearly understand who is a trial participant. So we clearly mention participant with that dash conditions of dash severity of dash and the healthy volunteers. We mention it clearly about who are the participants. Then we include the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So now the next stage is, once we have already done with the development of the intervention plan, we have registered intervention, then we have to go for the RCT procedures. So we have to recruit participants. Whom are you going to recruit? When are you going to recruit them? Where are you going to recruit them? For example, whatever study you are doing, it all depends on the clinical condition. If it's a health condition, it's looking at the health condition of the person. So where are you going to take them? What stage of the client we are going to take them for intervention? We have to be very clear about that in recruitment. Once that is clear, then you have the screening and eligibility assessment. So we have to set the criteria. What are the criteria for including this person to the RCT intervention? Then after that, you take the informed consent. Informed consent is clearly informed that so that the clients are aware of the risk and the benefit of the intervention. Once that is clear, then we can go for the randomization. So this process will help us to understand how potential participants are identified, approached, screened, and recruited for the intervention. That's the stage. After that, we go for the randomization. So in a typical randomization process, we follow sequence generation, allocation concealment, and implementation of the randomization process. So in sequence generation, we generally focus on generating a random allocation sequence by some random procedures. Whether you will be using procedures like numbered identical bottles or sequential numbered sealed envelopes, different mechanism we use. So once that is done, the allocation need to be concealed. That means in social work interventions, we cannot blind the clients about the intervention they are going through. We cannot blind the person who is providing the intervention, because we need to know where you are going intervention, and the client also should know understand that they are going through interventions. So in those contexts, we cannot blind the process of intervention. Rather, we need to blind at least the randomization process, so that the person who is working with the client will not know who will be going through which group, so that it is done through a third party, through a randomization process, through allocation concealment. And in implementation, you enroll participant, assess their eligibility, discuss the trial, obtain this informed consent after giving clear information to the client, then enroll participant in the trial, and we also ascertain that intervention is being provided, and we intervene the administrative intervention. Now, before when we go into intervention, the sample size estimation is very, very important. So we cannot randomly choose some number. Random means the word meaning. We cannot randomly choose some number and say, okay, I'll take 10, I'll take 20. I cannot do that. We have to develop a sample size. Size needs to be calculated based on available criteria to understand what are the type of interventions which is given in the current context of time, and what are the very different dimensions we have to look at. Basically, the power or the type of error you are going to look at. All those dimensions you have to keep in mind to develop your estimate your sample size. Sample size estimation is a very, very scientific and very laborious process which need to be followed through in our interventions. Once that is done, we can blind the clients. So we can actually think about blinding. So now in our context, single blind, double blind, or triple blind, especially in medical interventions, especially in the context of pharmaceutical researchers, they have possibility of blinding people. Triple blinding is possible. But in a social work interventions, we will not be able to blind the client, will not be able to blind the interventionist. So probably we have to blind the allocation process as well as the post-assessment. The outcome measurement should not be done by the person who is providing intervention. So the person who is doing the assessment for the outcome measurement should not be aware of the group for which they are doing assessment, so that they do have no bias with regard to doing the outcome assessment. So we need to try doing that. So we need to also look at the applicability and possibility of blinding in social work interventions. As I already mentioned, in the allocation concealment, we can blind it so that we don't choose any client for our intervention. And we will also blind the outcome measurement so that we will not think of having a preferred outcome for the client, so that we are not, the person who is doing assessment is not aware whether the person is assessing, the person is going in the control group or in the experiment. Now, once that is done, you have to choose sampling framework. This is the Medical Research Council framework for developing the intervention model for framework, where you know that the core concepts and the feasibility, all these are dimensions we are good with. So once we have done the allocation and things are done, then we need to intervene. So we need to follow a protocol, intervention manual, so that we provide uniform intervention to every client. If it's an individual intervention or a group-based intervention, we have to provide uniform intervention to every client so that the credibility of intervention is there, fidelity of intervention is there. Then we also need to ensure fidelity. Fidelity means every client get the same intervention in the whole intervention process, where we can have fidelity checklist, or else we can reduce the number of people who are giving intervention, so that there is no individual personal variation in the intervention provided, so that we can reduce number of people who are doing. Or else you can have a manual which will be clearly followed, and we have a fidelity checklist. We tick and see that every intervention is given for every client. But we also need to understand that when we do clinical interventions, we also need to be clear about the individualization of the clients. Then assessing the outcome. So how you assess the outcome? I already mentioned how can we reduce bias by blinding the person who is going to assess the outcome. Then we also need to draw statistical inferences, basically based on the interventions what you are doing. If you are having two groups, you can in simple terms, you have to ensure the cleanliness of the data. There you get clean data, normality need to be assured, outliers need to be managed, and also we need to run normality test and ensure that the data is normally distributed. Once the data is normally distributed, we can go for either independent sample t-test or a paired sample t-test. Again, depending on the for the within group assessment, we go for the paired sample t-test to understand whether there is a difference in the mean scores of the outcome variables before and after the intervention for the same group. But if you want to see the differences between two groups, basically the control group and experimental group at a baseline at the outcome measurement level, where the after the intervention, then we have to use independent sample t-test to understand difference in the mean scores of the groups before and after intervention. And for a preferred result will be this, that in the before intervention at baseline, the groups will be having same result, so that there is no statistically significant difference between the mean scores of the outcome measures in before the intervention. But at the end of the intervention, we expect that control group will have lesser effect compared to that of the the intervention group. Intervention group has a higher mean score. That will be the expectation. That need to be tested and understood by the independent sample test. But if we have multiple level assessment, for example, pre-assessment, post-assessment, and a follow-up assessment, then we need to go for repeated measures and ANOVA as an assessment mechanism. Now the question is coming here, whether we have done a very solid intervention study and we did follow thorough procedures, but it will stay like a treasure without if it is not published. So we need to publish the results. We need to report the trial. How do you report? For reporting this guideline is very, very important. In order to report RCTs, we have to have consolidated standards for reporting a trial. That means the consult guidelines are there. Also consult checklist is available. Using that, we have to report the results. So for any article you will find in journals, good journals, you will, which is using RCTs, you will have this a table like this, which is the consult guideline, which clearly depict how recruitment has happened, how randomization has happened, how many were there for the follow-up, how many lost to follow-up, and dropouts. All those can be identified through the looking at this table. This table is actually a very important source of information when you present the results of a randomized control trial. This is the consult guidelines. This is a checklist. So when we write the article, we can always look at whether we are fulfilling all these aspects in the article. So the checklist has to be followed through very clearly. Now, some of the methodology considerations are basically into the validity, internal validity, as well as the external validity. So the external validity talks about how much generalization can be done for this particular intervention. That also depends on the rigor with which you did the research. Then internal validity is the extent to which results are true. That is, the results are not spurious. It is based on the intervention effect only. So now, when we talk about this, we have to look at these dimensions very carefully. The first and foremost thing is that the sample selection. The sample selection needs to be representative. It needs to be randomized so that there is a clear understanding that the people who are going to the groups will be clearly randomized. Then there should be a choice of a control condition. We have to understand what condition you are going to control. Sometimes there is a possibility that the groups who are going to the intervention group and control group may have possibility of contamination. So we have to understand what will be the control condition, clearly understand, then randomly assign them. Blinding is very important so that there is lesser bias in the intervention processes involved. Then we also need to plan the assessment and data collection. We have to ensure intervention integrity and intervention fidelity also need to be established as a methodological consideration. So we have different ways of reducing the bias in our methodology of RCT. So basically, one of the potential source of bias is selection bias is one of the major thing where the allocation to comparison groups can be biased. So for that, we use randomization, a procedure which allows every person whom we have selected in the initial level to be part of our intervention or control group without having any bias, without having any consideration by the person who is doing the intervention. Then we have the performance bias where the care, the intervention has been given not equally same with the person. So for that, we can use single blind, double blind, whether subjects are assessed blind or both subjects are or assessors are blind. That way also we can do the blinding. Then we have the detection bias. The outcome assessment can be biased. For that, we also can use a triple blind analysis where the outcome assessors are also blind about the whole assessment procedure. Now, I want to share a few examples from my own experience of working in RCTs. The first one is with regard to one of the studies I've done long back in 2013, almost 11 years back, with the funding support from the University Grants Commission of India as a major project. So this was actually on a effectiveness of intervention model for enhancing social competence and well-being of adolescents. So in that, we did the school-based intervention. This was actually a cluster randomized control trial where we selected groups of students to be part of this intervention. In that process, we have actually done the initial literature search. We did focus group discussion with adolescents to understand what is meant by social competence for them. We also had expert consultations like professionals, mental health professionals like psychiatrists, psychiatric social workers, psychologists, and school counselors and teachers to understand what are their perspective about social competence of adolescents. And from there, we try to understand what are the components of social competence and try to validate that through a workshop with adolescents. From there, we develop the model. This model is actually having 5 components. These 5 components are part of the design of the intervention. This is the model on which we try to work on the clients. So we see that any person who has good self-esteem will have a goal orientation, a positive goal orientation. Once they have a good self-esteem and a goal orientation, they will strive to be successful in their life. When they strive to be successful in their life, they have to take appropriate decisions at appropriate times. For that decision making, they have to have rational thinking possibilities. Then once they go through the process, they may have troubles in life. They have to manage those things and go forward. They need resilience. But all these dimensions, 4 dimensions, are all focusing on the person. But now they also need to be pro-social, so that their pro-social characters also will be helpful them to develop social competence. So once they possess all these 5 dimensions, then they'll develop social competence that will lead further to success and well-being. This is a model developed out of these plausible experiences. So from there, we developed an 18-hour intervention. Then we consulted with experts and vetted by them. Then we did the intervention, pre-tested with 34 young adolescents in the government school in Kerala. Then the learning we developed and we tried to modify it. So we developed a 15-hour duration module. Then we took to reduce the bias or the fidelity, ensure the fidelity. We have tried to have only minimum number of interventionists. So I had to do that in a short period of time in 10 schools. So I had to take support of 3 persons. So those 3 persons were actually selected from a TOT program I did for a large number of people. From a training of trainer program, I identified these 3 people who have been similar in the way of their interaction, the quality of their intervention, something like that. So I identified them. Then we have included 1 school personnel, mostly a school counselor, to be part of this intervention. Then we also use the group randomized design. It's a cluster randomization of classes have been done. Then we have maintained a waitlist group. Then we use the RCT guidelines of consort, and the test was done. Intervention performed as planned in the intervention module. Fidelity check was performed, and performed post and follow-up assessment also. From there, we counted the study findings that at the intervention, you could see that this is the graph I've generated from the random repeated measures ANOVA test in the SPSS. That you can see that at the intervention, beginning of intervention, the outcome measure was self-esteem. So in the beginning, the control and experimental group was almost similar in their scores, and the control group or the waitlisted group maintained their score almost the same way, but the experimental group was able to improve their into higher score. But on a follow-up, you could see that there was a clear dropping of the score from a higher score to a lower score. Again, more or less similar to that of the control group in the follow-up period. Now coming to the second variable, again the same thing. Initial level they were matching. Then after intervention they have improved. But in follow-up also they were able to maintain to large extent. Resilience was maintained to large extent in the participants. Then the rational thinking part, they were again the same thing. They were able to increase, and there was a difference in the score even after the follow-up period. Goal orientation, again, same thing. The pro-social behavior also similar results have been found. But in the pro-social, you could see that in the waitlist group also there was an increase in the pro-social behaviors. So these are the 5 dimensions I studied in this particular study, and it has been proven to be effective. This was another study by one of my doctoral students. She has just completed her doctoral studies and just recently submitted her PhD thesis to the university. So this was actually about fertility quality of life of infertile couples. It was another social work intervention study which was used randomized control trial on a 1-to-1 client-based intervention, and it was proven to be effective. And now she recently submitted the results. So the process adopted for this particular study was all the things we discussed earlier. Problem was formulated, while a study was done, scoping literature review was done to understand the issues and interventions available, and tools for intervention also been studied. Then we identified a setting where this intervention can be done. We did the trial registration, ethical committee clearance, then trial registered. Now, so it goes like this: need assessment, then you consult experts, intervention module was developed, validated by experts, ethical committee clearance was done, trial was registered, then pre-test was done, then samples were identified, randomized to control and experimental group, pre-test was done, intervention was given to the one group, in the experimental group, post-test was done. So this was the process adopted by one of the other examples. And so to conclude, when you talk about future directions, these days we talk about we are not going to be in silos. We are going to be in collaborative mode. So we need to think about collaborations in research. It is not just one person sitting in one place and doing that. Rather, there's a possibility of collaborating together to work on a research project so that it has better outcomes and better thought process happening in the process. Then interdisciplinarity is very, very important, because now we don't focus, social work does not focus only on social work. We are integration of technology is there. My recent study is on digital pathways to recovery for homeless mentally ill. Is actually integration of social work interventions along with the mental health interventions, along with the IT interventions. And AI also is being used. That study is still in the process. Then technology integration is very important. And we also need to focus on methodological advancement, make use of the methodological advancement so that we do researches which are more scientifically oriented. Then the ethics is very, very important. So there is no compromise on ethics. Without compromising ethics, following the protocols of ethical philosophies, we have to follow two interventions. And ultimately, we have to end in disseminating our researches. Not that we should not be just publish, so we have to publish. So these are some of the references I've used for this particular section. I'm closing here since it was a very monologous one-way communication. I was not, I just went on fast. Now if anybody is online and who want to ask a question, you can ask that. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Anish. Very specific with the subject, with the research. Really, congratulations for your work. Really appreciate that you are here in this Congress. Just we finished this day on online session. I think Sakti, do you have some questions? I think. Sakti está. Tell me,
Yeah, good evening. This is Dr. Shakti Papa.
could you
So-
show up?
It's very, can you see me?
Okay, yeah.
So, so we are colleagues. So I just wanted to listen to Dr. Anish, and the presentation was very nice, because I think the first time I'm listening on RCT, because no, a lot of researchers we listen more on qualitative, and so it was very interesting to listen to RCT in social work. So it was a very great presentation, Dr. Anish, and I just want to ask one question. What was the major challenges because when you did this kind of studies?
Yeah, see, one of the major issue when we do RCTs is the setting where you want to do the research. So it requires a lot of collaboration with other disciplines. So in all the medical health related researchers, it is very important to have the support of a medical team or the support of the medical treating team, so that we'll be able to intervene psychosocially with the clients. So getting medical doctors with that type of attitude, an openness to explore the possibilities of psychosocial interventions to enhance well-being of our clients, which was one of the very important things, because two of my students now just completed their doctoral thesis with RCTs, and what we found was that they got really supportive medical personnel. That is one of the things which helped them to do the interventions effectively. This is one of the things, because there is a lesser understanding of RCT in every context. And generally what happens is it's mostly practiced in medical settings, especially in the pharmaceutical research and other things. So then there is people have less trust in the RCT, possibility of RCT in a medical social work intervention, which again we need to be convinced. That's why I am on a mission to prove that we are able to do social work intervention using RCT. So that's why we wanted to register with the trial registry and do the procedures exactly as is done by medical in the research. So we've done that. So we have to tell the public loudly that we social workers are capable of doing this, and we are generating evidences from these particular interventions. That is very important. That's why we are focusing. I wanted to focus on this. There are much other challenges. Again, the competency of students who are doing this is very important. And then when we are doing clinical intervention, they have to have competency in those clinical intervention. Those things are also there. But fortunately, I got a very good group of students who have been able to work with me in this processes, and they evolved in the process. And one good thing is that throughout the process, we always use the scientific approach, where I have shown the articles published by the students. Basically, when they wanted to do a scoping review of a particular issues, then that was made in an article and published. Or when we try to look at interventions, then we made into article and published. Likewise, it is actually and all in very good journals only we publish. That's why. So we are trying to generate evidence in that way. So my appeal is that social workers should take up more and more randomized control trials, especially those who are working in clinical settings. It is not just academic research, but practitioner-led researches are important. In practitioner-led researches, there's a high possibility of doing this type of interventions because they are in the setting itself. They can do such RCT interventions, but we need to develop a habit of integrating research into our practice, which need to be taken care of in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Anish. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Anish, glad to see you today and with you. We would like hear some words for you, no, like the ending words for our first day of our International Congress of Social Work.
Okay. So thank you so much for this experience, because I know that your conference is going really good with a lot of eminent resource persons in that in the list. So this was a real good opportunity for me to share my experience, and I am also doing certain workshops, especially with RCTs, because that is now taken as a mission that I will want to educate more and more people in social work to talk about RCTs. So this was an opportunity for me to come on an online platform and for an international audience. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope that social workers will take forward this type of initiatives so that we will build credibility for our profession. I don't know about in the context in Peru, but in India we always complain that we don't get what we deserve. The
Well,
type of recognition.
in Lima, we don't have some. Well, we have courses about social projects. We do research, but specific like I am doing with your studies is a little different. Not yet. I think we are doing.
So anyway, thank you so
more
much for this wonderful
specific.
time. We will probably work together on something in future.
Sure. It's the first time that we are just here in an event, but
Mr.
sure,
Sibi was
in the future we
instrumental.
will continue
Mr.
coordinating.
Sibi was instrumental in
more
bringing
things.
this connection, so I thank him also for this occasion.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Anish, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for listening all the morning or afternoon or nights. It depends on the time that you are. Well, this session will is transmitting for our YouTube channel, and maybe many people will see or check it out later in the times where they are getting up also. But for now, we just finished with Dr. Anish here for today. Thank you so much, Dr. Anish, and thank you everyone for being here. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have all day long Spanish sessions. Okay. Bye. Bye everyone. Ciao. And subscribe.